for me. He'll bring that old song, just like he said. He'll make America great again. So get on that train, right around town. Range you the 560 KBLU with you here. Glad to be here too.
Glad to have you. I think my volume is off. Let me check that. For some reason, it's louder today. All right, we'll go with it. It's Wednesday morning, okay, day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, the day before Thanksgiving.
Lot to be thankful for. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. Yeah. I'm going to be here tomorrow. I do come in on Thanksgiving.
Well, good. You need company?
Probably.
I enjoy the show so much, I probably come in.
And of course, I've got some things I want to play tomorrow. History of Thanksgiving. Rush Limbaugh put out a.
Yes, he did. He did very good.
I'm going to play that thing in its entirety tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
It's like 25 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
part of the thing was involved in the economy and how they work the economy and stuff.
Right, because the Pilgrims had to learn that socialism doesn't work.
Right, exactly. And I thought that was very unique. I'm gonna play that. Not a lot of people know that story unless you're a Rush Limbaugh fan.
And it was so tragic because a lot of them died.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big chunk, a significant percentage of that colony died off when they tried socialism.
But look, and they tried experiments in schools and stuff and said, look, we're going to give everybody an average grade of what the class gets.
Yes.
You know, you hear those stories where the guys that are getting A's are pulling the class grade up to a C+ or B-, and they go, well, wait a minute, why am I working so hard?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden everybody's average grade's a D. Back off. Which is a fun exercise and really, demonstrates.
It does, because incentives do matter.
Yeah.
And a lot of people on the left believe that the government can do anything. It just has to make laws, and then if it has enough power, it can force people into the mold they want them to. But it just doesn't work. There are limits to what you can do to force humans.
I mean, you can make a law that says you have to work 40 hours a week, and then they hold you to that. But is that productive? Are you going to be productive?
It tends not to be. I mean, there was an old joke from the Soviet Union where they said they pretend to pay us and we pretend to work. and there's just a lot of truth in that. When you have a lot of ideological fervor, often at the start of experiments, it can work for a little while, but it turns out that you just can't overcome human nature. There seems to be an almost irreducible limit to how much you can change the nature of people. Obviously, you can make people do things,
sure,
but whether they will consistently act against their own interests.
You can hold a gun on somebody and make them do most anything.
Yeah, right.
But is that enough to really drive an economy? And
it's not even the people who are working in the factory necessarily. It's the managers and it's the people in charge. They have natures too. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the critical weaknesses of the socialist idea is that, or the progressive in the American experiment, is that the people managing will be selfless, uninterested parties who won't put their own interest ahead of everybody else.
Yeah. Are we still an experiment?
Yeah,
I think we are. I agree with you.
I think we are. I mean, I think we're changing all the time, and a lot of it is driven by this incredibly accelerating technology that we have. Mm-hmm. I mean, the technology changes how we interact with each other so much that we have to adapt to it, and it takes time. And the technology is now accelerating so fast that I think it's limited by the human ability to adapt.
Of course, we thought that technology was accelerating fast during the 80s.
It was, but it's even faster now.
But when you look at the 80s on how fast it accelerated, I mean, when you had a hard drive that went from 10K to 20K, or something. It seemed so huge back then. But now when we see the acceleration, we're talking acceleration like, okay, we went from a car that doesn't drive itself to now it does.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
I
so
mean, I often look back at my grandparents and great grandparents. I mean, my mother was born in basically a log cabin
Mhm.
with a well 100 yards away from the house, no indoor plumbing, no electricity,
Right.
and and she witnessed going from where railways were. I guess she actually had airplanes in her early life. She was born in 1914, so already airplanes, but they weren't common.
No.
And to moon landing and satellites being common. It's and of course I've witnessed almost as much change, but the difference is that by the time we got to like after World War II, we had the technology where almost no one was hungry.
Right. We
Uh,
just have food insecurity because we
Yeah,
mismanage.
yeah, we missed a meal, or
Well,
I had to eat oatmeal this morning and I wanted Cocoa Puffs.
well,
You know,
and there's real kids that suffer because mismanagement, because parents are
of
drug addicts,
course,
parents don't,
yes, you are exactly correct.
whatever,
And
you know.
and there are, I would say we also have the situation. I don't think young men, they don't have the protections in welfare that young women do.
No.
I mean, that's just the way it works. And particularly if they're mothers, they get more protections. We feel that's appropriate in society.
It's
So if you're a man, you can actually fall through the cracks easier, I think.
it's to protect the baby type
Right.
thing, which understand
That's
it's
understandable.
innate in our nature.
Right. And that's how right after World War II, we were building on that because it was originally this federal welfare system was, um, feed the mothers, widows, and single mothers.
Let's since you mentioned the welfare system, and a lot has come out since the shutdown, particularly about SNAP. But
Yeah,
there were 42 million people on SNAP, 1 in 5 families on SNAP. And then it started talking about some of the fraud and all that could be much higher than we thought. I I would, looking at that and looking at the amount of people and all that, I would say the fraud's got to be half.
I could believe that.
I mean, and I'm not talking about fraud like stealing, but fraud about maybe misrepresentation, fraud about how much money you really have coming in.
Well, and there's probably a whole lot of illegal immigrants that, in some states, they want them to sign up. I mean, there's an incentive for the bureaucracy to sign up as many people as you can.
I know people on SNAP that I know them, work relationships or whatever. I know them that
Sure,
one of them had to buy a new car. And I said, let me help you. At least I'll inspect the car, make sure that you're getting a good used car.
sure,
She had to buy a nameplate. She paid extra, make sure she got a BMW or an Audi or a Mercedes or something. But she ended up with an Audi that cost her a lot just to keep that thing, get it up to. But she had the cash, but she's also on Snap, but she works all these programs. She works,
sure,
and it's just like part of the lifestyle that that's how she grew up. And that's what she does. But she gets government aid in many things, and she knows the systems.
right. So it becomes your profession, your job is working the system
Yeah,
and
and
getting as much of this
I
stuff
mean,
as
she was still working part time to make sure that she's still qualified for everything, but she was very capable of working full time. She didn't want to. She could work part time and get free medical. She can get free food. She can get all that stuff. Still work part time and buy an Audi and had other sources of income that weren't on the books.
Sure.
And that's, I think, normal.
It's become a subculture
Yeah.
in the U.S., one that I don't think we want to foster, but in the I think it was 1965, 63, something like that. A couple of college professors, their last names were Cloward and Piven, were looking at the American system, and they said if we want to get to socialism, what we have to do is get as many people on welfare as possible. Then we have to remove all stigma, and we have to get as many programs as possible, and make it just about impossible to get off those programs. and eventually we will break the system, and then
Right.
we win.
I think that's where we're headed.
It's called Forward Pivot, and President Clinton had both of them into the White House, basically congratulating them. And this has been going on for over 50 years.
But you start talking about the 42 million people on SNAP, and I look at that and say, "Oh my God, where did we go wrong? What's happening?" And it's in my mind, a couple things could be going wrong. People can't live on properly, or we're being cheated, or whatever what it is. I mean, we've got system problems.
Yes,
And but for someone to come in and want to fix that, it's like babies are gonna die.
Yeah, that's what they say. I mean, and this is known, I think you've probably heard the term, as suicidal empathy.
Oh, no, I don't know.
Okay.
Not
Well, it's
familiar.
out there floating around, and at least a couple of people wrote essays on it. And the idea is you get so concerned with other people that you do things that are essentially suicidal. You don't take care of yourself. You don't preserve your civilization. Oh my gosh, somebody might be hurting somewhere, so we have to spend the defense budget on welfare,
Right.
or we have to spend ourselves into debt that we can't repay because we're worried that somewhere some child might not get milk in the morning.
But as many programs as available, and I know Edward, my fact checker, has opened my eyes onto some of it on like, there's so much available that you can make very little money and live as well as somebody
Oh yeah,
that's middle income.
there's been a number of people who've done economic studies, and they show that you have to reach a pretty high level, well, not high, but lower middle class
Yeah.
level of income in order to equal what you can get off all the government programs.
If you do it, but there's people that give guidance on how to engage.
Oh, absolutely.
And the government pays for the guidance
Yes, right.
on how to engage in more programs.
And this is, it all fits in to this idea that if we can just break the system, somehow the left will make things better, which is an utterly insane idea.
I absolutely believe in the country, and I believe that everybody should achieve everything in life that they want, and I think it's all available. And I don't think anyone should go hungry. Nobody should starve. And there's so many great things available. You don't have to in this country. But the second you start giving them everything,
right? Yeah,
we lose that edge. We lose that edge of productivity, innovativeness, and building wealth.
When I was a boy, welfare had a stigma.
Yeah, it did. I remember it well.
It doesn't.
I don't remember you being a boy, but I remember.
You remember the stigma.
I remember the stigma.
Right.
Yeah, well, when I worked at convenience stores, we used to take food stamps, and they were separate.
Right.
And you had to carry an ID that said you were on welfare, and then you ripped the stamps out of a book.
Right.
And you couldn't get money in change. We gave them back stamps or something.
Right. And I remember when they actually distributed government commodities. Like
cheese.
Cheese.
That was
cheese. That was pretty good cheese.
Yeah,
we got it when I was stationed down in Panama. The commissary would sell these commodities because they weren't allowed to sell them in the United States, but we weren't in the United States.
That's right.
So the overseas commissaries had a lot of the surplus stuff. I'll tell you that surplus cheese was high grade cheddar.
I heard a story about cheese. Why there was such an abundance of cheese, but the health department started understanding that whole fat milk wasn't necessarily good for us, so they decided to make it skim milk.
Sure, so that allowed a lot of cream out there.
Well, right, exactly. Well, then what are we going to do with all the stuff we skimmed out? Well, we'll make cheese. Well, what do we do with all the cheese? We don't have that big a deal. Well, the cheese companies, and I'm not just talking the government giving it away, but the cheese companies started figuring out we need to make a market. Now, if you remember when McDonald's was making hamburgers, and I remember when I was a kid, if you wanted cheese on it, it slowed it down because you have to go and say, I want one with cheese on it. Oh God, special order. And they'd put cheese on it. Well, the people in the cheese industry started hitting the road and telling everybody how everyone loves things with cheese on it more than they love it without cheese. and they were pushing people to start including it in all your menu items. Well, now when you go into McDonald's, you have to have the cheese removed.
Yes, yes, that's certainly part of it.
It's so weird. But so what we did is we made the milk healthier by taking out the fat, and then we threw the fat on the hamburger.
Well, that was the theory. It turns out we
I
really
know.
didn't. It really wasn't healthier to take milk out of the fat,
Exactly.
and the cheese is not bad for you.
Well, cheese is a processed food.
It all depends on what the cheese is and a bunch of different things.
But you're exactly right. The whole fat milk was probably better for us than we ever thought.
I remember back in the 1980s, and I knew this young woman who was a researcher. Well, she was like a graduate student, working in a research program.
Yeah.
And it was in Wisconsin, which is a dairy state. So I had to take that into consideration. But she said this whole thing about cholesterol is just a bunch of hooey. I mean, she didn't use that word, but it's just, she said the studies are horrible. They really don't add up. And she was right. And it's been validated, 40, 50 years later.
Well, we still have anti-cholesterol drugs that are the highest prescribed in the nation.
They have very little effect, it appears.
Yeah.
Very little positive effect.
Well,
they have
correct.
effects.
That's correct. And I like the way you put that, because they do show that it brings cholesterol down. There's no data that shows that artificially bringing it down has any positive effect to your health.
Exactly. You're right. You've been keeping up on this research. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So I don't take a statin drugs.
No, I mean, and you look at the statistics on them from the studies they've done, and your chances of getting a positive effect are very small.
Chances of getting a negative effect are actually pretty good.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the negative
But I know
necessarily.
some people that have been hurt very badly.
Oh, yeah.
Statin drugs.
So I made a decision a few years back. I wasn't going to take statins, but you can control. A lot of people can. I'm not saying everybody. You can control your exercise cholesterol with exercise and diet.
Do you know how many vegans have cholesterol problems? None.
Probably very few.
None. You can't get a cholesterol problem.
And I recall, this was probably 20 years ago, my doctor said, your cholesterol is a little high. And I said, well, I found that when I exercise regularly and reduce the amount of fat that I eat, I can bring it down. And she said, well, let's try that. So I came back 4 months later and she said, oh my God, you actually did what you said.
Without drugs.
Yeah.
Without drugs.
She didn't, I don't know if she used the oh my God, but she was very impressed. You actually did what you said you were going to do.
So, yeah. Docs get used to doing what they do.
Oh, yeah.
If they give out statin drugs, they give out statin drugs.
I think you are correct. And
because they get frustrated. Look, if the average person, if you say, look, if you exercise and you cut down on fat, you'll be fine. They find that
most people,
0.1% of the patients do it.
Yeah, they're
not going to change.
It's a difficult thing because you have to have enough self-discipline, and it's hard. I mean, I was single at the time, but I made this decision back in my 20s, in terms about exercise.
Yeah, I made that decision too, and sometimes I hold to it.
Yeah, well, I'm saying it's not easy.
No.
Just because you know what is better for you doesn't mean that there are other priorities that doesn't come up. Life happens. Oh, I've got to get to this person. I got to help that person. And it's easier just to grab a couple hamburgers and this kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, I've been trapped in that more than most.
And it's not hard for me to understand why people have a difficulty.
But getting trapped in that, eating the wrong stuff and all that, it really did help me. It helped me to lose weight, because you can't lose weight unless you're really fat.
Yeah, I've been struggling. I've lost 5 pounds.
Well, you're not really fat. If you're not really fat,
had to work at it.
You can say, "Hey, I lost 60 pounds." So you can't lose 60 pounds.
If I had lost 60 pounds, I would be malnourished.
I'm 60 pounds lighter than I was.
Wow,
so
you're very impressive.
You've got to be fat though to do that.
That's true. The more overweight, but you reach a point where people get so overweight, it's very hard to exercise. It's very difficult to do anything.
Yeah, you limit mobility and your stamina, and
it's depressing.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a good mental attitude.
It hurts, and the thought of going to the gym is like, what can I do to say, I can't do? Can I get sick?
Well, sure. I mean, all that happens.
Sure, because it's a pain.
And
it can be.
This wasn't as much of a problem before, say, 1970 or 80,
Yeah.
because people had to exercise as a matter of daily life before we got into the automobile society so much. I remember.
Well, there's certain places you have to anyway. But you live in the city, you're going to walk 5 miles a day just between parking your car and trying to get to that big high rise.
I think it's more so in like European and Japanese cities than in the United States.
It's much more. Yeah.
And you see that people in those societies are more fit.
Yep.
And it's just because the normal course of life requires them to do more physical activity.
But I still remember downtown Denver, you drive through there and you got these ladies in dresses with tennis shoes on, which I thought was very odd. And they're carrying their heels. Well, they would walk like crazy because parking was far away, everything was far away, and they walked everywhere. A lot of fit people downtown Denver would just walk around, and of course, it's an exercise place anyway.
I remember going to Boulder, Colorado, with university town.
Yeah.
And it was, I had a lot of business trips there because we, as the military, had a contract with National Center for Atmospheric Research, and we were building models. I mean, I wasn't building the models. I was sort of evaluating them and making suggestions, and we were testing them out at human proving ground and using them. And so NCAR is there. But it was like, I'd go into Boulder and I think, wow, this is like Planet of the Fit. Where nobody's over 30, it looked like, and even everybody who's over 30 was slim and fit. And you always saw people exercising all over. Of course, it's a university town, so that's part of it. But there was this culture there, that you pushed yourself to remain fit.
A lot of Colorado's like that. I mean, a lot of Olympic athletes go to Colorado because it's a mile, Denver, particularly a mile-high city.
Right.
And less oxygen, you train and work well at that altitude. You get down to ground level, man, you're Superman. You're
that's right. And if you have to compete at altitude, you can do it.
Right. And so there's a lot of fit. Bicycles were big. It was one of the healthiest
a lot of bicycles in Boulder.
Very healthy state for some reason. Very healthy, but they just attracted fitness freaks.
Well, yeah,
it's hard for me to live there at the time. That's when I was overweight.
Well, it's so easy. I mean, food is so plentiful and relatively inexpensive and delicious.
But there's so many negatives in prepared food, a lot of it, and you don't know what's really in it.
Well,
and if you really become a stickler on health and you want to be, Kennedy, and think, okay, I don't want this in my food, I don't want that in my food.
Yeah, I guess
you really can't go to a restaurant very well, because especially Mexico, when those chips are fried in things you don't want.
Well, you and I can disagree.
I can eat them all day.
Yeah, sure. But we can disagree on this. I am not a big fan of all the additives are poisoning us. I think it's just the amount is the biggest thing.
Possibly.
How many calories? I mean, we consume a lot of calories, and the food is so easy. It's really almost addictive. I mean, we love fat. We love salt. We love
cheese. We love cheese.
and it's, it's so easy. And here's another side of it. If you've allowed yourself to get a little overweight, it's like a feedback loop. Then it's harder to exercise.
Yep.
And then you want to satisfy, some pleasure. And so you eat. I mean, and this is just the way it works.
And, the more you exercise, the more calories you absolutely need.
Yeah, that's true. You bump your metabolic rate up, and you use some when you're exercising too.
My metabolic rate, and we check that all the time. It's now over 2,000 calories a day if I just sat in a chair and did nothing.
But so what was it when you started? Do you remember?
1,600, 13, 14, something in there. But the amount of food, like if you go to a drive-through at most of these fast food restaurants and get the meal package with a soda and all that, you're talking 1,500 calories or so for lunch.
Oh yeah, easily.
And then if you get a fribble on top, well, not a fribble, that's a friendly thing. I don't know, one of the milkshakes or something, you're well over 2,000.
Oh yeah, in one meal.
Oh yeah, it's gone.
And you just it's difficult. I mean, I understand because I love French fries.
Me too.
Oh, I love French fries. I just almost never eat them.
Everything I like is terrible for me.
Yeah. Ice cream. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I
Don't
went for
mention it
I went for years without eating ice cream.
because it's.
Not because I didn't like it. I love ice cream.
But I can't keep a half gallon in the refrigerator. It just seems.
Yeah, it seems
like,
I hear
it
you.
seems
I hear
I
you.
could use a little more of that. I need to take a break now. We need to get to some news.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. AM 560.
Beautiful week of weather continues with sunny and 75 today, 55 and partly cloudy tonight. Thanksgiving Day, partly cloudy and 75, 50 tomorrow night, and sunny and 75 again on Friday.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. You'll find exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X914 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 50% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
Listen to KBLU from 8 to 9 every Monday morning to Life, Death, and the Law. Sean Garner and Adam Hansen discuss estate planning options. Learn how you can plan your estate using a will or trust to protect your family and secure your legacy. That's Life, Death, and the Law every Monday, 8 to 9 a.m. on 560 KBLU.
There's no place like home for the holidays, so make yours shine with DreamLux Remodeling. From spa-like bathrooms to stunning energy-efficient windows and doors, DreamLux brings you affordable luxury without the stress. Beautiful, grout-free showers, energy-saving windows, and top-quality products from Kohler, Delta, and Anderson. Schedule your free consultation today at dreamlux.us or call 928-236-5694. DreamLux. Affordable, local, luxurious.
Sprague Sports is Yuma's hunting and shooting headquarters, and Sprague's has been serving Yuma hunters and shooters for over 66 years. Today, we're in need of used guns. 1 gun, 10 guns, 100-gun collection, all are welcome and needed. We buy, sell, trade, and consign used guns 6 days a week and offer free appraisal. So stop by or call Sprague Sports today and let the friendly staff surprise you with how much your extra guns may be worth. Sprague sells thousands of used guns yearly and offers an exclusive lifetime warranty on all guns, a $100 value. So pick up the phone, get in the car, whatever it takes. You got used firearms? Sprague's is your place. Who knows what you're sitting on and who knows what it's worth? Let the fine folks at Sprague Sports help you figure it out. Used firearms at Sprague's. Sprague's, Yuma's hunting and shooting headquarters. Responsible gun ownership since 1956. Sprague's, 32nd Street, next to Lowe's.
For 83 years, Avenir Financial has served this corner of Arizona that we call home, helping local individuals and families breathe a little easier and live a little freer. With checking accounts that keep up with your busy life, savings tools to help build your future, and flexible lending that makes more possible. All from a credit union that started right here in this community. We are Avenir Financial, 100% human, 100% your local credit union for 83 years. Insured by NCUA, Equal Opportunity Lender.
AM 560 KBLU. Russ Clark with you. Dean's here.
Glad to be here.
And I actually have a caller on the line.
Yeah,
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Hey, I just wanted to make a quick call and, this thing about what our senators, are saying, Kelly, and now Gallego.
Yeah.
I listened to what Gallego said. What he said, threatening officers in the future if they have anything to do with this, I think that's even worse than what Kelly did.
Yeah, but on the positive side, it wasn't a veil threat. It was out in the open, direct, and an unmistakable threat. I mean, how embarrassing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we have 2 winners for sure in Arizona.
Yeah.
After I heard Gallegos, I was saying, it could happen, but I didn't think it would. Well, now I've changed my mind. Trump just needs to, or Hegseth just needs to go for it. It's uncalled for. They're doubling down. It's just going to get worse.
Oh, Kelly says now, I won't be bullied. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to be bullied. He's a victim now, which is the playbook of the left.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
Well, no.
But, Kelly's become an embarrassment. Everything he's done is kind of down the tube. And after what Gallego said, threatening officers and future officers, it's beyond the pale, and we need to get them out in the next election. But I think Hegseth needs to press forward with prosecution now. There's just no doubt in my mind.
Well, they're investigating. I think that's the proper course.
That's the right way, man. I appreciate the call. Thanks for your. I'm glad I'm not the only one that feels that way. It's nice to have. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Right.
Yeah, what a horrible thing. And Gallego was so direct and so threatening. Trump's only going to be in a few years, and then there's going to be retaliation type comment. I don't think he used the word retaliation, but it'll be a payback. And I mean, just open, direct threat that if you go after Kelly, you're going to be harmed. How? and Kelly, and you're former military. You're an officer in the military. There's restrictions on officers in the military on attacking.
There's supposed to be, but and I'm going to say progressive because it's a little more specific than the left, and I think a lot of people on the left have embraced the term progressive, and the progressive philosophy has always been very clear that the only morals they're concerned with is what advances their agenda.
I think so.
And so when they say by all means necessary, they mean it.
And I absolutely believe Gallego. They will put out a hit list and destroy people if you go after Kelly.
They've tried to do it with Trump.
Yeah.
And if they'll go after an ex-president in the way they did, none of us are safe.
They're not done with him. I mean, they're going to keep trying.
They're going to keep trying. Right.
But it's personal. It has nothing to do with him breaking a law or whatever. It's just that he has an ideal that's capitalism, and they have an ideal that's socialism.
Yeah, correct. I would say it is. It's not exactly personal. It's ideological.
Correct.
And so they see that America is likely to prosper under Trump in a way that they don't like.
And how beautiful for them if they do destroy a president, because if he's not safe, nobody is.
Sure, exactly.
We can threaten everybody.
Right.
It's like the mafia.
Very similar.
It's protection racket. Agree with me, and your building won't, or pay me, and your building won't be broke into. You'll have protection.
Right. And a lot of people have claimed, and I think there's good reason, that government is essentially a protection racket. But in the United States, the government is supposed to be of, by, and for the people.
Right.
Progressives don't really believe that.
No.
Because the people they believe, are way too stupid and can't really decide what they want or know what they want. So we have to tell them what they want, and then we have to propagandize to get the public opinion that we want so that we can do what we want.
Do you remember when the left used to be for freedom of speech and pound the freedom of speech thing? They're totally opposite now. They want to control the speech.
Right.
And
I think they always were, but they probably didn't admit it to themselves when they controlled 98% of the media.
Right.
Oh, of course we're for freedom of speech. We control it all.
Well, I'm talking about during Kennedy and everything back like then, when they used to be seen as the radicals and people would try to keep them quiet. But
yeah, I think that was partly how we got a good many court decisions that were very positive for freedom of speech back in the 50s and 60s and even earlier, quite a bit earlier.
Larry Flint helped in that, believe it or not.
Yeah.
With the Hustler magazine.
Frankly, I think freedom of speech in that type of speech, sometimes people say it's hard to define what pornography is.
I know it when I see it.
But no, that's what I think there's a court justice that said that.
That's exactly right.
But there was some question about whether that was what was originally intended for use of the First Amendment.
It wasn't necessarily, but what the ruling said was freedom of speech means we accept the worst of us.
Yes, I mean,
and I understand that,
and there's truth in that because it's always free to praise the current regime.
But this Mark Kelly has nothing to do with freedom of speech. This has to do with military code and his requirement, receiving still military retirement and knowing he can be called to active duty to not undermine the president. And that's a tough will. You can disagree with him on policy, but to come out and absolutely attack him and say that we should not listen to his orders because he's breaking rules. It's illegal.
It's exact. They did it and they walked kind of a fine line.
Correct.
because they said don't obey illegal orders. But they didn't define what illegal orders
But they
were,
kept
and they
going-
never gave a specific example of an illegal order that Trump had done because he hadn't given any.
But go back and watch the video. They completely put the Trump administration in the sights.
Exactly.
And
So
they said because of the Trump administration, you know how he is. They didn't say this specific thing broke the
exactly
law.
correct.
But
So
they-
there was a very strong implication
Beyond
that
that.
just because it was Trump, they were illegal.
And even when they went on the air to explain themselves, they said, well, you know, Trump's done a lot of things.
Right.
Okay, that's crossing the line.
I agree.
That's crossing the line. And Kelly has set himself up for potentially paying a hefty price for that.
I think so.
He's the only one that can be recalled to active duty out of the 6. There were
Okay.
6 of them. Some of them weren't even in the military; they were intelligence officers or something.
Well, yes. I mean, you can be an intelligence officer in the CIA or the NSA or something like that.
but they, I think it's all outrageous, and they're so quick to want to destroy Trump that they don't care how much of the country they hurt doing it.
No, I agree.
Because in the long run, it's good for the country in their mind.
In their mind.
That's the
Exactly.
same way Stalin was.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
so what? We killed 20 million farmers. It's good for us in the long run.
That's exactly. And that's this progressive vision is, if we have to kill a few million, well, in the future, everybody will thank us.
Correct.
But the future never seems to come around that way.
Wow. Because they keep going back to that. Well, we're in another trouble. Just one more time, we'll do it. Just
Exactly.
type stuff, and it just keeps being the
And we
tool
go
in the
back
bag.
to human nature. It just seems to turn out what they claim is good for the country also happens to personally enrich them.
That's why I like that's why I like the Larry. Yeah, it does. That's why I like the Larry Flynn case, though, because it's accept the worst of us. Don't make exceptions for a bad, something that you really
Well,
find.
there are exceptions in freedom of speech. You can't libel or slander somebody.
Yes, correct, and that's acceptable.
Right. You
That's-
can't use false speech
But
in
it's not
commercial.
It's not because they just don't like it, though.
Right.
We didn't like.
I
Larry
mean,
Flynn.
and political speech is the most protected.
Well, maybe Kelly should say, "Well, this was just political speech."
Well, I mean, he could.
but it's beyond the pale.
I think so. I think we have
Even though it was elusive and
one of the reasons that the United States has been so successful for 250 years is the military has been segregated from politics. Not entirely. It's impossible to do entirely. But in general, military officers are taught from the very beginning, we follow the legal orders, and most orders are legal, of the civilian administration. We are under the control of the civilian administration. We don't tell the civilian administration what to do. They tell us what to do.
Right.
That's not what you see in a lot of the world. And in the United States, military officers are taught not to be involved in politics. And now, of course, that tends to get difficult when you get up to very high ranks,
But
general and above.
and they can't. Well, but they can't wear their uniform. They can't announce.
They're not supposed
a lot
to.
of things.
Absolutely correct.
I mean, to rallies and stuff like that, and parade around that I'm a.
And we saw that violated during the first Trump administration, where again, there were a lot of retired generals that came out against President Trump.
Yeah.
So ordinarily it wasn't done, mostly because it wasn't needed. But now that Trump is winning and the American people seem to be wanting to go back toward a more constitutional, limited government framework, the left is getting desperate, and so they're pulling out all stops.
Yeah. Well, I think that the worst amongst them between Kelly and Gallego is Gallego.
I think
they openly threatened.
Yeah, I think you're correct.
But I don't know what penalty that is. I don't know if there's anything other than shame, but he feels none. I don't know if he should be censured, but I doubt that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I doubt it. And it's too close.
But to openly threat,
it's bad, and I think hopefully it will hurt his chances at election.
I mean, he's saying out loud what they normally say behind closed doors.
I agree.
That's just not good. I saw an article on Black Friday on using your credit cards could cost you more than what you get in benefits.
No, sure, it can.
Well, I have a card, I get 2% back, which I like.
Sure.
I like that. So it could be airline miles, it could be hotels and all that. But this article went a different way and kind of surprised me. It started talking about swipeflation, which it was discussing the finance charges that you never see. When you go into a store and you use your card, the retailer could pay upwards of 4% of that
Yeah.
to the card for handling the cash.
Yeah, 3% is pretty common.
Yeah, and in my business, it's 2 or a little less than 2 because it's high dollar.
Sure.
They look at average dollars,
Right.
And stuff like that. I'm having your car fixed more, so I don't pay it. It becomes part of a business expense and all that. But the way this article is written is you should pay attention to that. Well, and she's asked for cash discounts because those kind of things. And I like here's some studies that have been done on that 2%.
Yes.
Or 3%, whatever it's going to be. That's actually cheaper for the businesses in the long run because cash is so time consuming and susceptible to theft. They lose more in handling cash only than they
Really?
lose. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, because they got that cash over and short at the end of the day and stuff, and it's not managed right. And then the amount of time that it spends counting, sorting, taking it to the bank, delivery, chance of robberies, and all those kind of
Well,
things.
that's fascinating. I'd never seen a study like that.
That
before.
cash-
There's some sense. I can see where it could.
Handling cash could cost you more than 2%.
Now, my question is this part of the whole push to move us to a cashless society?
I didn't really get that impression one way or the other, but it mentioned that in 24, these swipe fees of 2 to 4%, added 187 billion total dollars. I don't doubt that.
Sure, that sounds plausible.
And it's about $1,400 in extra cost for every household. And they're calling it like an extra cost. I don't see it as such. It's just an operating cost that a business has, like an employee is an operating cost, or the heat bill they have is an operating cost. I mean, this is just part of an accounting fee.
Well, it is. As an individual, I've always been, I've been aware of this for at least 50 years. Now 40, let's say. And so as somebody who's been very frugal their whole life, I make the comparison. Is cash more or less on this particular deal? How does it compare with income tax if I buy from someplace that's out of state that doesn't have a presence in Arizona?
Okay.
How about shipping fees? And I take all that into account and look at the total and say, is this a better deal or not?
But this is
most people don't.
This is written in such a way that the average family could save $1,400 if you paid attention to it and asked for cash discounts, stuff like that. Most places are never going to offer a cash discount. I don't.
Right.
I wouldn't. Do you guess what percentage of, and this is according to Wallet Hub, a survey found what percentage of consumer reporting pay a surcharge on a credit card purchase in the past year? It's not really a surcharge. It's an invisible charge. But in other words, what percentage use credit cards?
Oh, gosh, it has to be in the 90s.
It's 80. Overall, 80. Some businesses do cash only. And I have probably 10% of the businesses or 10% better that actually come in and pay cash. I mean, and it surprises me. Sometimes you can have an expensive repair that could be a couple grand. I've had people come in and put $100 bills down.
Might be more in a border town. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm surprised that I'm surprised how much cash we take in at times. I mean, I would think we wouldn't take much in, but we do. But we live in a border town, and in Yuma, a lot of people go downtown to pay their water bill in cash.
Sure.
There's a line every day, down there, people paying their water bill in cash. And it just amazes me because I would never even think about that. I just put it on my auto pay on my credit card, and it's just, I get a bill and I said, oh, okay, that's what it is, and it's registered. It goes into my bookings, my accounting and all that, but I never have to do a transaction. It's just done.
Right. And I can understand that. But on the other side of it, as a civil libertarian, when you use credit cards, everything's tracked.
Of course.
It's all tracked. It's all available. If the government wants to find your life history, they can do it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's good or bad. As long as President Trump is in charge, I'm not too worried. And I can understand why the left wasn't very worried when Biden was in charge.
Right.
But as we saw during the Biden regime, the government power can be subverted and used in a lot of bad ways. And the left is claiming that Trump is doing that now. I disagree. But so there's a certain exposure you get by
There is, but in my business particularly,
you're already public.
we're I claim every dollar, whether it's cash, credit, and there's nothing hidden. Everything's out in the open. Everything's perfect.
Right. And we're moving to where it'll be impossible, nearly impossible not to do that.
Right.
So I'm moving toward paying more with credit cards and now you can pay directly out of your, like a recurring payment. You just have them take it out of your checking account and there's no credit card fee.
But this guy is talking about the inflation strike. That's why I call it swipeflation. He says that 2% is added to the inflation and goes up. It's an operating cost. So all operating costs are going to add up to operating costs, because you're going to charge more for your product based on what you have to pay to handle it. But I would like to see him look at that review of handling cash versus paying the surcharge.
Yeah, I find that fascinating.
And tell me what the difference is.
Now,
and verify that.
What you have too is there's a fair amount of underground economy stuff that happens. So I mean, and sometimes you get a cash discount because the person will be a small enough concern, like maybe a garage sale or something like that. And they don't report that as income.
Well, it says here
in Arizona, I don't think you have to.
This guy tries to say that your cash back, your motel miles, your airline miles, and all that kind of stuff. You actually lose because you're paying more for the products because they have which is crap. I thought he was going to go into you don't pay it every month, you pay that outrageous interest of 20%.
That's what I thought too. In my first, so this is interesting.
But you add that into it, my God, you start paying this 20% interest. Any benefits you get.
Yes, if you don't pay your credit card off every month, it is a very expensive way.
How many people do you believe do that?
A significant portion.
I doubt it.
I'm guessing probably 20-30%.
Would pay it off every month?
Yeah.
I think that's high, but I've never seen an article. I mean, I've never seen a study.
Yeah, it would be interesting to be a study, but I know on some of the conservative discussion groups, people commonly say, well, of course I pay it off every month.
Yeah, the credit card companies are making good money.
Oh, they will.
On the handling fees and then all stuff.
Right.
I mean, if I lose a card, I call up and never, we'll send you another one. It's never a big deal,
Right.
Never a big deal. And I know it cost them something, but they're making.
Yeah, it's a pittance or issue. It's more than just a couple.
They're making money
dollars.
on it,
Yeah, they are. And I think we're also seeing experimentation and success with different paying methods than
like Bitcoin.
Well, maybe Bitcoin, maybe like PayPal. Like I read an article about somebody was talking about
Zello or something.
There's Zelle.
But that goes through a checking account.
There are systems that they're talking about being able to make micro payments with very low overhead, less than 1% overhead. And all that is happening because of all the digital transactions that we're doing.
All you need your phone.
And I think it's going to become more and more frequent. I think that the credit cards may eventually give way to something else that's just all online.
Yeah, I think the credit cards the only thing that's going to go away is the physical carrying of the card. It's all going to be the same.
I think we're going to figure out ways to do it cheaper than 2 or 3%.
Really?
Yeah.
They probably could now. They just don't want to, maybe.
Well, I think that's where we're headed. Yeah, I think that's what's happening. I think if somebody came up with a system that was fast and reliable and only charged 1%, a lot of people would switch to it.
Maybe. Businesses, I mean.
Sure.
Well, that's why mine's below 2%. There's a lot of people when you own a business knocking on your door saying, take my service for credit card handling.
Sure. Exactly.
And they try to get that down.
There are businesses that only make a couple of percent. Their whole profit is based on 2 or 3%.
But their risk is zero.
Well, I'm thinking like grocery stores.
Oh, grocery stores is not risk zero.
No.
Grocery stores are single digit profits,
Yeah, they're usually under 5%. I mean, 2 or 3% is real common in the growth. They depend on volume.
Yeah. But that's okay. Because Mandani is going to show us how to do it better.
Yeah.
And own a grocery store that makes nothing. They almost make nothing now.
And I recall reading an article about who benefits most from capitalism. And they found that the owners are not the primary beneficiaries of capitalism. The big beneficiaries are the employees and the customers. They're the ones that get the most benefit from capitalism. Now, somebody who innovates, like a Gates or a Musk, they tend to do very well because they're entering sort of a fresh market. But eventually, other people start competing with them. And in order to stay in business, they have to reduce their profits by a large amount.
Right.
And then what happens is a lot of the profits end up going to pay employees through salaries and benefits. And the people at the top end up getting maybe a little bit more or about what you can get in the stock market, which is 5 to 7% a year above inflation.
It averages out to 10 over time almost. It's almost 10.
That's usually including inflation, though.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't. It does that for index funds, roughly, or some of the better mutual funds. But what I've looked at it, if you make 7% above inflation, you're doing really well.
Yeah, particularly when the inflation's high.
Oh well, yeah, and that can happen, as we've seen.
But Musk getting involved in the Teslas, battery-powered cars been around since they had cars.
Right.
They've just never been done real successfully. So it was a new market, and it was a new market to success.
It was also new tech.
New tech. Yeah.
The lithium batteries made a big difference.
Yeah.
And Musk aggressively pursued every avenue to make it more efficient. He had special motors built. He had,
he still does it to this day.
All of that, right? And so he doesn't say, well, we got to use this, we got to use that. It's off the shelf.
But that's what the major car companies can compete because they don't have that infrastructure design of innovation and stuff. They have so much bureaucracy.
Well, it's built into the cultures he's created at his various enterprises. You look at SpaceX, they pay their engineers pretty well, but they demand an enormous amount from them.
Yeah.
And as one commenter on one of the sites that said, he pays them in glory. And it's true.
But you go to MIT and check your graduates, what's your first and second choice? It's either SpaceX or Tesla.
Yeah,
they all want to work for him because it is glorious.
It is, and they're pushed. He pushes them to the limits, and there's very little bureaucracy in his organization.
I don't think you say anything in Tesla along the lines, it won't work. That's just a challenge.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. It's sort of like the Marine Corps. The difficult we do immediately. The impossible takes a little longer.
But if it doesn't work, then find a way
to get around to do it.
Invent a metal. And they've done that. They've invented new
alloys that they need, new methods for creating technology.
Because they were right. It couldn't be done with current technology. How can we change the tech?
Yeah. And Musk, he said this many times. He says, you got to start out with the basic physics and say what's possible. He says he did that with his rocketry with SpaceX. He went to Russia and said, what will you sell me rockets for? Well, they dithered around and they kept fooling him. He says, I can't negotiate with these people. They never hold.
He kept raising the price the more he was interested.
And so he started looking at what should you be able to build a rocket for from base physics, how much energy, what alloys, weight, everything. And he found out I can do it cheaper than the Russians can.
And he does.
And he did.
I'm out of time. I got to run. It's top of the hour. AM 560 KBLU.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. You'll find exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X914 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 50% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
To be a part of Russ's show, call 928-344-5258. That's 928-344-5258.
Are you tired of online threats? Then get an antivirus. It's the only online protection you will ever need. Disclaimer: an antivirus is just half protection online. It will not protect you from snoopers or encrypt your online traffic. So this Black Friday, get better online protection with NordVPN. NordVPN will encrypt your traffic, protect you from malware and phishing, and stop annoying ads. Get the NordVPN Black Friday deal with 73% off and enjoy 3 extra months.
This is News Talk 560 KBLU, Yuma.
More Americans are doing that the day before Thanksgiving with air travel back to normal after the long government shutdown that made many nervous, like these two Atlanta's report this morning.
We kind of waited to buy a ticket to see what was happening in general and what the situation was going to be. And that obviously led to higher pricing.
There are more than 700 flight delays across the country so far today, only 37 cancellations. Most of you somewhere for Thanksgiving are driving. Fox Business Network's Jeff Flock is on the road now. Yeah, the traffic is on the bridge this morning here as we head into New Jersey. 73 million people will be traveling by car. That is an all-time record. It's also an all-time record for people flying as well as taking the train and then also the cruise ship. It'll be flooding for some drivers. Wintry weather today into Friday from Minnesota to western New York. Blizzard warning in some areas. President Trump says he's fine-tuning his peace plan for Ukraine, trying to stop Russia's war. His special envoy, Steve Witkoff, will return to Moscow next week for talks.
So Ukraine have largely agreed on their 19-point deal, but they say there are still some minor details that still need to be resolved. And frankly, those minor details, they are large ones. They are the security guarantees. Will there be some kind of an Article 5 from the U.S. guaranteeing Ukrainian safety? And of course, territorial swaps. Russia wants the remainder of the Donbass handed over to it, and Ukraine simply is against that. And future NATO membership is a big issue still to be discussed, and the future limit on the size of the Ukrainian army.
Fox says Benjamin Hall, the Trump administration agenda removing illegal immigrants, is sit close to the home of the White House.
Bruna Ferreira, who is the mother of White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt's nephew, was arrested by ICE agents in the Boston area. Ferreira has an 11-year-old child with Leavitt's brother, Michael. The couple is no longer together, but her attorney says she's still very involved in the boy's life.
That's Fox's Tony's Dave Powers. Ferreira came to the U.S. and Brazil as a child, or the visa long expired. America's listening to Fox News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talks you into buying something really silly, you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice is get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-809-7171. That's 800-809-7171.
Julia owed the IRS thousands.
I was paralyzed with fear.
Then
I heard a commercial for Optima Tax Relief.
Optima Tax Relief is the leading tax resolution firm, A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and experts in the Fresh Start Initiative.
Optima Tax Relief settled my IRS tax bill.
Call Optima now for a free consultation.
It was amazing.
Call 800-926-0155. 800-926-0155. Optima Tax Relief. Visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Further information that I'm Julie Rivera. Public transit. Some people get where they need to go, so White Cat is running into some challenges that could affect the services we provide. White Cat buses are getting busier, but the system continues to lose federal dollars because local funding isn't keeping up. Because of that shortfall, White Cat has some federal funds it can't use, between $3 and $6 million. Plus, the Uniform Department wants to warn the community about an increase in package theft. YPD says that thefts become more prominent with the holiday season upon us and Christmas presents rolling in. There are a couple of ways to protect your delivered goods from theft, like getting your Ring camera, having them delivered to work, or picking your package up at the post office. YPD says it's essential to do whatever you can to protect yourself against theft. Catch us on TV tonight on News 11 every weekday at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. for your latest local news, weather, and sports.
Allo Fiber's got the real deal. Check this out right now. Switch, stack, and save, combining Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile. Lock in your price for 2 years. 2 years of premium service and no surprises. Check it out at allofiber.com/stack.
AM 560 KBL, you must talk with you, Dean here.
Glad to be here.
We're back at it. I want to talk about a church worker that decided to become an ICE agent, but he didn't go through the paperwork. He just had an ID made.
Oh, well, that's not quite legal. I mean,
Really?
it
You
might
can't-
not be.
Can't do that. Well, here's where he got the brilliant idea. He had this ID made, an identification card to put him as an ICE agent. He's a 58-year-old guy named Donald Doolittle. Yeah, he didn't even apply. He just made an ID, and he had a masseuse that that apparently was not she has a visa,
Okay.
and showed him the visa or something. This masseuse, and they got in an argument about how much the massage was.
Oh, so he showed him the ice
He
cream.
said, "Look, you send me $500 on Zelle, or I'm going to take you away. And you'll never see your family or children again." Showed him the ice card.
Ah,
Doesn't sound like a good idea.
it doesn't sound smart either.
No. Well, she gave him the money. I mean, she was afraid.
Yeah, right.
Gave
Then
him the
she-
money, and then he sent her a text saying, "You'll never hear from an ICE agent," and then told her to delete all the texts. She also reported it to the police the next day,
Yeah.
and the police interviewed. He denied being at the business, getting a massage. Of course, they kept videotapes.
Yeah, right.
So he lost that deal. The church fired him, believe it or not.
Oh, gee, I wonder why.
He was a safety director at Gateway Church City in Webster, Texas. So now he's looking for a new job because he was arrested for pretending to be an immigration officer. Who would have known that'd be illegal?
Well, some people might not. I mean, it's possible that people haven't thought that that might be illegal. It's a real nasty abuse of
Wow, that's terrible.
terrible.
He worked at that church for 10 years as a safety director.
Well, temptation is everywhere.
Oh man, he's on bond right now for $10,000.
Oh, only 10? Oh, huh.
Yeah, 10,000. I mean, that's pretty heinous. I don't know what this poor masseuse lady was going through
Don't know.
in her mind, but I would assume. I wonder a few things. How many times has he done that?
In other circumstances, yeah.
Because quite often that community is going to be very tight-lipped.
Right. Especially in this current situation.
Sure. Now she wasn't illegal. She had a visa,
Right.
but visas can be revoked.
They can. It's a terrible abuse.
Oh my
but,
gosh.
I'm a Christian. It took me a long time, but
You're a slow learner.
well, yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it.
Okay.
One of the things that I realize is we are all sinners, and there's temptation,
Sure.
and that it's a serious temptation. I could see where people could be tempted to do that. It's very bad. You shouldn't do it, and it has bad consequences for him. But people are tempted on lots of things.
The people in the country illegally are abused in many ways by the cartels and others.
Yes.
And then they send money back to the country, and some of that's coerced, some of it's family. But
Right.
you just, I mean, we create this whole thing. We create this by creating this whole subculture. I mean, it's just awful. And the left pushes it like it's a good thing. We should have more of it.
Right.
Because we need people to pick our fruits for nothing and to work in the fields and to take this abuse. And if they don't take it, who's going to be here for that?
Well, this is part of this whole culture of by any means necessary.
Yeah.
And they'll say, well, crime is caused by people enforcing the law. It's caused by police. It's caused by ICE agents. It's caused by if we just didn't do any of that stuff,
But
people would be better off.
there's many
But
people
it's not true.
Many people on the left believe it, but it's not a majority opinion. By
No,
any
I
means.
think it's maybe 20, 25% of the population, but
But
it's a really horrible, destructive philosophy. And when it's put into effect, things get a lot
It's
worse.
a Democrat policy, though.
Exactly.
Critics of ICE agents are also against, are saying, the ones that say you can't wear a mask,
Right.
Well, they jump on something like this, and they say, see, that's part of the reason they can't wear masks now is that others can impersonate them. and harm innocents.
What?
This guy wasn't wearing a mask.
No, he
You
wasn't.
can impersonate him without wearing a mask. What are you talking about?
Exactly. I mean, and if you're creating your own ID, put your own picture on it.
Yes, yeah, he created his own ID. Imagine. I don't want a fake ID.
No, you want genuine ID.
Genuine IDs. If I get one, I don't need to be an ICE agent.
I could see there's a lot of attraction. Some people have 2 or 3 different passports, because you can have dual, triple citizenship today.
Yeah.
And when I was of a stronger libertarian bent, I liked the idea of having citizenship because if things went really bad here, maybe I could go live somewhere else. But I've come to believe that the United States is the last best hope, and if we lose here, we lose everything.
And we need to work hard to make sure we don't lose.
Absolutely, I'm committed to that, and I think these midterms coming up are just second only to the 2024 presidential election. We have to keep the heat on and keep President Trump with give him a Congress he can work with.
My business partner's paying attention. He's actually awake this morning.
Well, he's on the East Coast, isn't he?
No, business partner.
Oh, business. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Chris,
he's a sharp guy.
He's awake. He said a large majority of businesses pass the fee on. We were talking about credit card fees, the handling fee, that pass it on to customers. Well, I think it's blind. It's invisible.
Well, but that's part of your operating cost, so of course it's passed on.
But I think that some people, some businesses will write that you have to pay extra. There's not. I've run into it.
Well, what I see is a lot of times they'll give you a cash discount.
That's a smoother way to do it.
I see that in a lot of online.
But I can't tell you a single business right now off the top of my head that does it. But I've had some business that if you use a credit card, it costs you 2% more.
Right.
But they're not that many. I don't.
Well, because I purchase a lot of things online.
Yeah.
I often see with many different merchants, they'll say
discount
3% credit card fee.
Really? Okay. I haven't seen a lot of it. I've seen it at some smaller businesses, but I think I would never want to do that.
No, if I did
anything, it would be a cash discount.
Yeah, sure, but it depends on how tight your margins are. If your margins are very tight, 3% could be.
But look, I just said the handling cash has its own fee.
I hear you.
So what difference does it make to the business? You're on the air.
Morning, Russ. Gene.
Morning, Ted.
How you doing?
Good.
Circle K, fuel pumps, credit, one price, cash, another.
Yeah, very common.
Well, that one I recognize. Yeah, they do that. Yeah,
right. And it's a pretty good discount.
A couple. Yeah, it's not 2% quite, but
usually it's like 5 cents, 10 cents,
$3. Yeah, $3, 5 cents. Yeah.
But
I forgot about that one. That was a good one. Okay, Ted, I'll give you credit for that.
Yeah, very good.
Good observation.
Thank you, Daddy.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Bye.
It shows you, when you have this vast listenership, that there's a lot of smart people out there.
Ted and Chris.
They add a lot to the conversation.
We were talking about this guy that made this ID to be an ICE agent. Fake IDs apparently are on the rise. I think it's so much easier now. There's so many programs now, that you can make an ID. I've made IDs before, like Press Pass.
Sure.
Because they don't have one.
There's no official one.
There's no official one for the business. There's no official. It's not illegal. And I just put, because I go to some things, so I make a Press Pass for El Dorado Broadcasting, which I actually do work for.
Sure. And I when I first got accredited as a writer, it was with the National Shooting Sports Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And they required that I submit articles and stuff, things I had done, to show that I was actually active. And then they gave me an actual card, no picture on it, from NSSF, and it said that I was a writer and associated with them, and gave a phone number you could call them. Mm-hmm. They've pretty much done away with that now. They don't give them out anymore. They said, if somebody has a question, just have them call this number.
Well, I've noticed when I go to like CPAC and stuff like that, a lot of people are wearing a badge of some kind that identifies them as media. So
when I would go to SHOT Show or the NRA annual meeting, they always gave me a a big placard kind of thing. It was about 4x6 that you'd hang around your neck.
I think I've got a few of those here in the office that I've accumulated. But I do have one that I would, but it's become so easy to make these IDs, and I didn't think about this, but for kids that are not of drinking age, make IDs.
Oh,
Now you start getting into fake driver's license or something. Now, see, there could be some stiff penalties.
definitely stiff penalties.
I would say don't play with that.
And I have to say that on the stuff that I've got, just about everybody now has some type of a barcode that you go in and they read the barcode at the door.
Well, a driver's license, they can,
right.
They can do
But
something.
I'm saying that, and I was amazed. I have to say that when I became accredited as a writer, doors just opened where I couldn't get to before.
Well, in Tempe, Arizona, there is a tavern called Tempe Tavern. The police swept in there to find just that, how many underage drinkers are in there with the fake IDs. I don't remember which day of the night or what day that was, but guess how many underage drinkers they found that had fake IDs?
Well, it depends on the size of the place.
Yeah,
Do they give a percentage? I would say 10%.
I would guess more than that because they found 249.
Wow.
In one tavern.
Yeah, well, of course they selected this for a reason.
Yeah, they had some issues. I mean, I'm sure that there was
There were
some
informants,
understanding.
there was some people
But
that
249, we don't even have a tavern that'll hold 249.
I thought that's a big place.
I don't know how big the Tempe Tavern is or if it's still open. But no.
Yeah, they had outdoor tables. I
But
don't know.
this is the second major sweep in that bar this year.
Wow.
All right. The first time they only found let me see.
Well, the word gets out among
They
the-
only found 167 the first time.
They found more of this.
Now it's 249.
You know, sometimes people they get their license taken away if they abuse this stuff too much.
And there's no indication that the Arizona Department of Liquor and License and Control. I like that. Why do they add control onto it? It can't be just the Department of Liquor and License. It's Liquor License and Control.
I don't know. It sounds more Orwellian.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like, your life isn't what it was.
We are watching you.
Yeah. They were involved in this. And they partnered in joint operation, resulting in a major liquor law compliance check. And that's what it was, liquor law compliance check. And it targeted underage. That's where they went in there for that. So they had to have some knowledge that it was going on. Now, they said, remember to always carry a valid ID and think twice before attempting to purchase alcohol if you're underage. Underage drinking is not a minor issue. I thought that was kind of funny because it is a minor issue.
Yeah.
You gotta be a minor to be underage.
Play on words.
Yeah, play on words. I don't think they recognized it though, but I thought that was hilarious. They arrested of the 249 arrested, 246 were cited and released. I guess they got a couple people. There are a few individuals they booked right into the jail.
Well, they might have had warrants out for them or something.
Yeah. The Tempe Tavern had a comment though. The people that own the establishment,
right?
They said they're fully committed to cooperating with all authorities involved. We decline any further comment.
Well, if you have an ID that looks official, I mean, how do you turn down a customer?
I don't know. I
mean, I think you could. Look, it's a fine line there.
They just got in April. They just had 167 people arrested in April.
Right. But I'm saying, I mean, because I've looked at this from a Second Amendment standpoint. Yeah. If you have a customer that has all the legal documentation and says, I want to buy something, the ATF previously has said, well, you can turn down anybody you want. But what if they're a black lesbian woman?
You might have a lawsuit.
Exactly.
Because it's obviously racist.
See? So there is a pressure from both sides there.
Yeah. Right. They got to be careful with it.
Right.
But obviously somebody's pretty sloppy. The people for the department, the Alcohol Liquor License Control Department said the department will only place sanctions such as liquor license suspension or fines after the Tempe Police Department finishes its investigation. Have they not finished the investigation from the first time when they had 167 arrested?
May not have. I don't know. That's a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done when you have that massive non-compliance.
Sounds like somebody's asleep at the door. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Good morning, Russ.
Well, good morning, sir.
Veteran Dave again.
How are you?
Fine. I just wanted to, it's the day before Thanksgiving.
Yes, it is.
And just wanted to again reiterate what I talked about yesterday about our Thanksgiving meal that we're going to provide tomorrow for Thanksgiving at the VFW 8242. And one of the things I wanted to mention, Russ, is wanted to talk about our VFW auxiliary. They are the backbone of our post, and we got wonderful auxiliary members. We got Marge, Sharon, Maynard, Candace, Alma, who helped obtain the turkeys and fixings, and they're baking them and cooking them for tomorrow's event. And like I said, auxiliary is our backbone of our VFW at 8242, and I'd like to thank them, thank the VFW members. And then we have our regular VFW members, Jim, Eddie, Dave Anderson, who purchased several turkeys for our meal. And we just want to welcome our veterans, especially the veteran spouses who are widowed and no longer have their veteran with them, so that they don't spend Thanksgiving by themselves. And of course, anybody that would need a meal, please come by. We also want to shout out to the first responders that will be working patrol tomorrow, especially our police department, our sheriff's department, Yuma County Sheriff's, YPD, military police, AWC police, the state troopers especially that will be on patrol, and border patrol, game and fish officers, and our ADOT police. Like I told you, when I was a police officer, the holidays, believe it or not, Thanksgiving is one of our biggest calls for domestic violence calls. A lot of arguments at the
people disappointed in their Christmas present, I guess.
So we get called. I mean, we're talking call to call, nonstop.
Wow. Yeah.
And then, like I said, when I was on patrol, many times the Salvation Army would provide a to-go plate. And just when you were about to bite into your turkey and your stuffing, you get the 3 beeps on the radio, emergency call, crash, whatever, and you can't, and it happens all the time, So just again, wanted to reiterate, please do not spend your Thanksgiving by yourself. Please come with us. Thank you very much, Russ.
Thank you so much, sir. You take care. Bye-bye. And of course, that's 8242, the VFW 8242. That's out there on Highway 95 on the way to YPG.
Right.
Got a little tank out there. The actual address is 7120 US 95.
Yeah,
and
that's easy to put in your GPS. Of course, it's pretty easy to find. You just go on 95 toward YPG.
Yeah,
and it's pretty close, not very far from the river.
Have you ever been in there?
I'm trying to think if I've ever actually stopped. I've driven by it thousands of times, literally.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you worked at YPG, so you're back and forth. I actually went in there for the first time a week ago or so, when Veteran Dave invited me to go over there, and I was going to help someone fold. Someone was going to help me fold a flag of Helen's.
Yes, he told me about that.
Yeah, and
they were very helpful.
Very much so. And of course, Dave was already gone. He had to take off. He had an airplane to catch. But how welcoming and wonderful they all were. I'm not a veteran, but they said, "Come on in, have something to eat. We'll take a flag," and they jumped on it. The motorcycle club that veterans, Rough Riders, just jumped all over the thing, and we're very happy to take care of that for my wife.
Which is a really nice thing to do.
Oh, it's really great. Yeah, really great. Wonderful place. So don't spend Veterans Day. Don't spend Thanksgiving alone. There's a veterans organization up there.
Yeah, I was thinking about what he said about all the domestic calls that happen. But think about it. You're getting a lot of family members that may not see each other hardly any other time of the year.
Yeah.
And we have these calls on particularly the left to politicize the event and tell people they have to do this, and that could lead to nasty consequences.
It can, unfortunately.
Right.
But it's reality.
Yeah.
And you talk to most police officers, they'll support that kind of reality. I mean, it's just unfortunate it happens. DUIs, a lot.
Oh, yes.
Traffic accidents.
Very,
as well as the domestics. I mean,
yeah.
this is a spool up work day, not a
for
not a
the
skeleton
first
crew.
responders, it definitely is.
Yeah, so thank you all. That's a great message from veteran Dave.
Yeah.
to call that in and make sure that we do that. And I'm going to be on the air tomorrow, and we'll keep reminding people that there's a place out there, and the mission too. And for those that are down on their luck, they are having problems and all that. Particularly, the Crossroads mission holds 3 days. This is the second day today out there. That they need some volunteers too occasionally. I mean, I think a lot of people come out and volunteer.
Yes, I believe so.
These 3 days. But they're always welcome. They need drivers to deliver food. They do take some food to some people that can't make it in, that may be addressed on the side of a road somewhere. I don't know. Andy's done it many years.
Yeah,
my friend
I
Andy
am very impressed with Andy's activism there.
Yeah, he is. He's he goes out and does that quite a bit. So they'll be doing that again today and tomorrow, 3 days of Thanksgiving, and they go through a lot of turkeys, man.
Yeah,
they put out quite a spread. One last thing on this Tempe Tavern. The management posted on Facebook. Now, this is the one that had 246 or 249 arrests in one night of kids, fake IDs.
Yeah, minors.
Wow, and not a minor problem. They posted on Facebook that neither the bar nor its employees received citations from the liquor board or Tempe police for that prior incident, which is yet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Now, I'm trying to remember because I generally don't go into bars.
Mhm.
So what's the age to go into a bar?
I think 21.
Yeah, 21. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So that's, there's a lot of people who think I am an adult. I should be able to go. And so there's a lot of, how can I put the societal backlash among younger people about whether how just this law is.
Well, Tempe Tavern says that fake IDs, but it's all alcohol. I mean, it's just, once you're in, you order, But fake IDs have been a concern, and stated that the bar scans every single ID presented at the door before entry.
Wow.
What does that mean? Is it like a driver's license?
Apparently. I mean, most driver's licenses have a barcode on them or something like that now.
But it didn't say driver's license. It just says we scan them. What does that mean, scanning them? I mean, a lot of IDs, like my media ID, doesn't have a barcode.
Right.
We could probably make one.
I don't know. I mean, it might be an interesting show to get somebody from the
But if you're
tavern
scanning IDs, how do you get 249 in there in one night? I mean, are they that good of an ID?
Well, one of the things that people would sometimes do is they use somebody else's ID, like
That's
a brother or sister in the family.
They said that some fraudulent IDs can still successfully pass a scan and appear authentic. Well, really? You can make a driver's license that would pass a scan?
Sure. And there's
you could, but that would be pretty high-tech stuff.
Well,
that's not easy.
One of the ways that you do this to get around the system is you have a confederate inside the system that makes duplicate or fake IDs using the actual equipment.
I imagine that'd be a big felony. But
I know of at least 2 cases where it's happened.
Wow.
And it depends. Then they cancel all of those in the system, all the ones they know of.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was surprised. My friend who died recently worked on a case where he said he could get a complete set of IDs. It was like birth certificate and driver's license. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. And it was,
Passport?
I don't know if it was passport.
Passport's going to be tough.
Right. Passport would be tough. But I think he said it was only like $250.
What?
And they were authentic. I mean, the driver's license was issued by that state.
By the DMV of that state.
Right.
That's pretty impressive.
It is. And I thought the price, wow, that's just amazing. He said, yeah, I wish I'd have got one, but they required us to turn all in.
Might have been from California where everything's loose.
Well, I'm trying to think which state it was. I'm guessing, I mean, don't hold me to this, but I'm thinking it was maybe Arkansas.
Okay.
So it was in the south southeast. I mean, somewhere.
But Tempe Tavern also states again that none of us were arrested. No one was employees. We weren't cited. I mean, they're fighting to stay in existence right now.
Yeah,
that happens
exactly.
twice in 1 year.
Well, and the numbers.
249 seems
That's
impossible.
a very incredibly high number.
I mean, who's left after you pay 249 people out?
I don't know. And I would wonder if it's an outdoor venue. That's one of the things I'm guessing. And I'm wondering, is somebody figuring out a way to get around the gated system? If they have somebody opening a back door, or if there's some way they got through a fence or something like this.
That would all be on the bar, though. I mean, it's their
Oh
responsibility.
yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying it wouldn't. I'm
Yeah.
just guessing about possibility ways. There's people who try to get around systems are very innovative, and there's a lot of different methods.
I need to look
use.
into that. I need a fake ID, just make me younger. We'll be back. AM 560 KBLU.
Beautiful week of weather continues with sunny and 75 today, 55 and partly cloudy tonight. Thanksgiving Day, partly cloudy and 75, 50 tomorrow night, and sunny and 75 again on Friday.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702830, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
Allo Fibers teamed up with DirecTV and launched Allo Mobile. This product combination means internet you can count on, streaming TV you can watch anytime and anywhere, and nationwide coverage on your mobile plan that you can depend on. It's real service, and it comes with real savings because now you can switch, stack, and save and get all three of those services at one affordable price. The savings you won't want to miss. Switch, stack, and save at allofiber.com/stack.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. You'll find exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X9 14 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. Their PCs are up to 50% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. What's up, Yuma, and hello, Russ Clark Show listeners. Johnny Porter here, and I just made the switch to Allo Fiber, and it's a game changer. Lightning fast speeds for streaming, working from home, and gaming. No buffering or slowed down speeds. It's time to ditch the glitch and switch to Allo Fiber.
There's a man in D.C. He's dancing for free. He's fighting for you.
560 KBLU. With the Dean's here. Glad to be in the end. Have a caller on.
Hey, Russ, two questions.
Shoot.
Is KTPI and the river switching over to K-Love?
Well, let me tell you, I read that in an article yesterday, and that's all I know is what I read in the article. I have no inside information on any of that. And, but I can tell you today they're open, everything's here, so I really don't know what's going on. But I did read that. It's on social media out there.
Yeah, I saw it. I think Johnny Porter, he posted it yesterday.
God bless Johnny Porter. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Next thing.
Yeah.
I heard the city's going to redo the skate park. Okay.
True.
They're gonna close it on December the 8th. Why would you close it right before the holiday break from school?
Because they don't like kids.
Okay, and then they're spending all this money to redo the Valley Aquatic Center. Okay.
Which one?
Why don't they? The one down by Cibola.
Oh, really? That's
that's
one of the newer ones. Okay.
Yeah, they're going to resurface or do whatever they're going to do to it. Why don't they use that money on Kennedy Pool?
Because they don't like Kennedy Pool. That's obvious. I mean, there's been so many people fighting to get that reopened, and it's been sitting idle for 5 years or better. And they won't fix it. They won't fix it. They won't fix it. And I'd heard at one time they were going to demolish it and build it somewhere else and take it away from that area. And it got a lot of bad press. And now it just sits there instead of fixing it or instead of moving it. It just sits there.
Sounds like our city council's a little screwed up. But that's just my opinion.
Well, they've got an agenda that we don't know about. I don't know what it is. I have no idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Russ. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the call. Bye-bye.
Uh-huh.
A few people at Kennedy Park, they don't really hate kids. They built the park recently, expanded because the park is so successful, and it's been a highlight of Kennedy to have that park there. So they actually put a lot of money into it to expand it, and it was beautiful. But as soon as it was done, the concrete started cracking.
Oh no!
Yeah, the contractor, whatever, something happened that was not good. It appeared right after it reopened after all that downtime to build a new park. So now it's not dangerous at this point, but it's going to be. So they have to come in and tear it out and redo it.
Wow.
And it's unfortunate, but I don't think there's a good time to do it. Doing it in the heat isn't the best for doing concrete. It's not the best temperatures. I mean, concrete people work around it, but
you can spray water and stuff.
Yeah, but obviously they had problems with it when it cracked. I don't remember if they built it in the summer or not.
I don't remember.
They did it in April, I think. But I congratulate them for doing it. They don't hate kids. They actually built it all up for the kids. As far as the pool goes, I'm very disappointed in that. They just don't care. They give us the runaround. We talk to them about Kennedy Pool.
Yeah. So
and look, if the fact is, if it's going to be tore down, just tell us. They don't. But that facility's been sitting there empty for years.
Yeah, that's not good. Not good public relations.
No, and they just let it sit. And now they're going to redo the newest one instead of.
Well, I mean, one thing we have to remember is that this is all with limited resources. You only have so much money. You can't do everything right away.
Completely agree. So just tell us the truth.
Right.
The truth doesn't cost you a dime.
Correct.
If the truth is we're never going to open it and it's done, but they're afraid of the
the PR, public relations.
Yeah,
And any time you close down a public facility, the people who are using that public facility are going to be upset.
Well, exactly. And there was some mention at one point that, well, the city's bigger now and they've got to spread these parks out around, which means, what, you got to close it and move it to a richer part of town?
Don't know.
I don't know, but this would be a very bad deal.
Well, it would get some bad press.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. The pools are big. I mean, limited hours now. You can't get lifeguards.
Well, I mean, right. I mean, the
lifeguards.
liability that goes with pools. I mean, it's just, it's become much more expensive than it used to be.
Yeah. So they put in at some of the places, they'll put in a big concrete pad with sprinklers and have the kids run around in the water.
Right. That's probably less potential damages, from somebody drowning or.
Yeah, it's harder to learn to swim in that. Though.
That is true.
They can't.
But we've become such a litigious society. People sue on everything, anything, all the time.
Yeah, only because they win.
Well, because they get money. Yeah.
I got a question here from one of the listeners. It's valid. Who is Dean? Where is he from? What does he do? Why is he on your show?
Oh, okay. Well, you can answer the last one, but I can answer the others.
Yeah.
I grew up in northern Wisconsin, went to the University of Wisconsin, where I attended the Reserve Officer Training Corps, became a commissioned officer in the military, spent some time in the military, then went back, got a master's degree in mining engineering. Meteorology was my first degree. Then they weren't hiring mining engineers at the time because the EPA basically shut down most mining in the country. So I went back to my old outfit and became a team chief of a meteorology team as a civilian in Panama. Spent 5 years there, then came here to YPG and finished out my career at YPG as head of the meteorology department out there.
Yeah, you're on the show because there are not a lot of people willing to do this.
Yeah. The other thing is that since I left YPG, I've become a full-time writer, and I write mostly about guns, all different aspects, published online, mostly a publication called Ammoland, and they actually pay me, which is nice.
That is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, since we're not ever going to do
That's okay. I really enjoy this show, and it's fun to come on. And originally, if I may say so, the idea was that I would come on Wednesdays and give Second Amendment updates.
Sure.
Sort of a subject matter specialty of mine. And a lot of stuff has been happening in the courts, and most of it is positive, where various states are attempting to ignore the Supreme Court decisions. And so they're fighting in the Ninth Circuit, the First Circuit, the Second Circuit, and the Seventh Circuit. And because the states that obey the Supreme Court don't have laws that are in contention, so most of the decisions go to appellate courts that are hostile to the Second Amendment, particularly in California, the First Circuit. And so these cases take a while to work their way up to the Supreme Court, and they are doing so.
But the Supreme Court's been very positive on the outcome.
They have for the last several cases, and they're going to hear at least 2 cases this term. One of the cases is about whether you can declare essentially all private land to be a sensitive place that somebody has to get prior approval to go there armed. So if you want to get gas, you have to have prior approval from the gas station owners, whether you can get gas there while you're armed. This is out of Hawaii. I think it's called the Wolford v. Hawaii decision. And that I'm fairly confident the Supreme Court will say no. The opposite. It has to be an assumption there's approval, and if they don't want people to come there armed, they have to put a sign or tell people that they have to go away. It's called the vampire rule because vampires are only allowed in your house if you invite them in.
How's that way? Yeah.
So there's that one, and then there's let's see, a case involving marijuana. A particularly disreputable person who probably was a drug dealer, probably maybe part of a terrorist network out of Pakistan, was arrested, and he's charged with having a firearm while in possession of marijuana. I don't like these kind of cases because difficult cases make bad law.
Yep.
And so I think the Supreme Court will figure out a way to say, no, if this guy, we're not going to allow this guy to have guns. And exactly how they rule, I don't know. It has potential for degrading the Second Amendment as it was decided in Bruin, but we will see. And that'll be decided this term sometime. So you can explain. You said I'm here because you have a hard time getting people.
Yeah.
I'm an early riser, so it's not a problem for me. But most people, might have some.
A lot of people want to put up with this punishment. This kind of stuff.
Oh well,
you're
as a writer, I learned to have a thick skin.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And you're skeptical. I like the skepticism.
Oh yeah, I am. I'm a trained scientist, and part of being a scientist is being skeptical. Unfortunately, a whole lot of what is passed off as science today is just somebody putting out a product so that they can say they published, and it's publish or perish. And a lot of the products are just really badly done.
I got a message here from Melanie, and it's the second time now because I didn't answer her the first time. We were talking about on the air about the USS Arizona that is in Hawaii.
Oh, sure.
And they're talking about now
Pearl Harbor.
Going in and identifying, because that is a tomb.
Yes, it is. So what are they putting in, like drones, underwater drones in there and getting DNA samples?
It wasn't real specific on what they would do, but they were talking about not everyone from the USS Arizona is in the water still. Some of them are like 200 and some are actually buried in a nearby cemetery.
Okay.
But they weren't even all identified. And they're talking about exhuming those bodies to identify them. I don't know that they were going to go into the water. It didn't really say in there, but they were going to start, identifying. And my question is, identifying if they did go into the water and did that, there's not going to be a lot left. And
no.
So Melanie asked me, well, if they're wearing dog tags, with the dog tags who've survived 80 years.
Aluminum and salt water. A lot depends on what they're in contact with. You put aluminum in contact with some other metals, it'll dissolve in salt water sometimes. So I don't know. And were they aluminum back then, or were
I
they
don't know.
stainless? I don't think they were stainless steel. I'm not sure. Maybe somebody who knows something of the history of dog tags could tell us what the tags in World War II were made of.
Yeah. I mean, there's some metals that would survive it.
Yes.
Stainless steel or something, but I don't think they were made of that.
I'm thinking aluminum, but I could be wrong. I mean, I've seen pictures, but the picture doesn't tell you what type of material it's made of.
Yeah. I mean, I know they found dog tags in the jungle that were intact after they've been in there.
Right, and they found dog tags in the dirt in Europe. I know about that. So it's maybe somebody who has good information about this can tell us.
Yeah, I don't know if they would, and I don't know that they're going to, exhume those that are interred in the actual wreckage of the ship.
Difficult thing to do.
I'm not volunteering for that
No.
duty. I tell you that would be a very tough thing to disturb. I wouldn't think they're going to, but they mentioned the cemetery for sure.
Yeah.
Where there was quite a few members that were not identified.
I'm trying to think of how many casualties there were on the Arizona. It was large numbers.
1,200.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that was more than half the total.
Right.
It's just on the Arizona.
Yeah.
Total deaths on that. Yeah, that ship. It ignited the armaments they had on board. It ignited and blew that ship in half, pretty much.
Yeah.
Have you ever visited?
I have not. Hawaii is one of the, I think, 4 states I haven't been to.
I think the only state left on my list is Alaska.
Yeah, I've been to Alaska, but I haven't been to, I think, New Jersey. I don't think I've been to Delaware and Rhode Island. I think I've been to Connecticut.
I lived a long time in the Northeast, so I hit all that stuff.
Yeah.
In the Northeast. But, I went to high school and college in Delaware.
Yeah, there you go.
So I got to know Joe Biden.
Well, that's it sounds like a very useful relationship.
Not at all. I was a teenager, and
okay.
I got to see him and all.
Yeah, well,
that was it. I had no idea that he would. I'd be. Well, I had no idea I'd live to be as old as I am, let alone.
Sure.
You don't even think about that when you're a kid, do you?
Well, I became aware of my mortality pretty young, I think. Actually, when I learned that, I was a set of twins and my twin sister didn't make it at birth, so you get a little more aware of mortality.
Imagine.
And of course, I lived on a farm. It became sort of a hobby farm when I was about 5 or 6. And we hunted and fished, and so you killed a lot of stuff.
Right.
So mortality becomes more a part of everyday life. When you're
but I still wrote that song that I hope I die before I get old.
Well, I remember at the time the lifespan was at about expected to be 72.
What is it now, like 78?
Yeah, it's like 78 now. It's gone up a good bit, and part of it during COVID, it kind of went backwards for a bit. I think and there were some other things. So we have been expanding lifespan for several decades at the rate of about 3 years per decade.
Wow.
So, I mean, if you look back, I look back at my grandparents' generation, and a lot of people died a lot younger, especially children. But 65 was considered to be a pretty old guy.
Well, back when they decided to do retirement benefits for those that survived the Civil War, the question was, what do people expect to live to? And the answer was 65. So that's the age you get retirement.
Yeah.
It was life expectancy.
That was life expectancy. And now it's an average, so you're saying maybe half people would live longer than that.
Right.
But retirement was not really a thing until probably roughly 1900 or a little after. Retirement meant that you went to live with relatives and they took care of you until you died.
Well, according to David Sinclair, there's a guy that works on longevity. He's a scientist.
Okay.
And he says that the person that's going to live to be 130 is already here on the planet.
It's possible.
Yeah. Now, it hasn't been possible.
I don't think we've ever had, as far as we know, I mean, there's biblical characters, and that's, I often wondered if they were counting months as years, sometimes, but official records that we can have some sort of bureaucratic documentation I don't know if we might have had one person make it 120 at the 121.
Well, 120 seems to be what they consider a ceiling.
Yeah.
Just the way the cells regenerate and everything, that regeneration.
But we are we're discovering what causes aging, and we're discovering ways to get around it. And there's a lot of interesting tech going on. So I don't know what will be technologically possible, but everything is accelerating faster and faster and faster.
Yes.
And so I might live to see some of this. I don't know.
Yeah, well, start taking some of the supplements that Sinclair says will make it.
Well, we know that there are certain things that help you survive
Sure.
longer. Regular exercise is one thing.
No smoking.
No smoking.
It's kind of the basics.
Trying to keep your weight under control. I
Right.
mean, you can get, in bad ways. One of the things that, surprisingly, if you look at it, a lot of people who underwent really severe hardship, like almost starving, they seem to last longer. Now, we don't know if we took out the people that had weaker systems, and so the ones with better systems survived, or if in animal studies, we find that if you severely restrict diet,
yes,
it tends to help animals live longer. So, if you were starved in World War II, maybe that means you live a little longer later.
And that's something. Yeah, I've read that before. Yeah. It's bad for a dog to get it fat and everything, but it's bad for us too.
Yeah, that's, I think, true. And it's a problem of abundance. Throughout most of history, only the wealthy people could get fat.
Yeah, and they had gout. That's why it's a rich man's disease.
Well, yeah, and nobility, kings got gout, and nobles.
A listener says, as a skeptic does, and meaning you,
yes,
does your guest have reservations about any of Trump policies or actions? Sounds like he's 100% on board with Trump.
Well, of course, I have reservations about a lot of stuff. I mean, one of the big problems we have is the debt. And that is not being addressed, and because of political reasons. I mean, it's obviously we need to cut spending enormously, but politically we don't have the will to do it.
Well, the Trump program includes that.
Includes some cuts, and I all for that. But I have had some questions about some of the military actions.
Okay,
but I look at the alternatives, and I've come to believe that we live in a limited society and we have limited alternatives, and all we can hope for is to try to choose among many bad options. And so, I personally would like to see President Trump, be a little more measured in his responses, in his wording. But somehow it seems to work for him. So I'm not going to complain about his successes, even if I don't particularly like the way sometimes that he addresses concerns.
My fact checker is sending me stuff about credit cards, because we were talking about credit cards. He does a good job of that, jumping on.
Yeah, okay.
And how many people have credit cards? And that's an interesting question. I would think most everybody, I mean, even high school students or college students.
It's a good question. It's interesting. And of course, people have multiple credit cards too.
And the latest complete research data he's got available is 21. It says 160.6 million of the 253.8 million adults in the U.S. had a credit card at the end of 2021.
Wow, that's much smaller than I would have thought it.
Well, that's not a small amount, though.
No, it's not, but it's about 60%.
I know people that don't have credit cards.
Well, some people can't get credit cards.
Well, I know some that choose not to.
Yeah, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
But I find it so hard to purchase things online if you don't have a credit card.
It says older Americans are more likely to carry credit cards.
Really?
88% of people over 65 and above have credit cards.
Do they differentiate between credit and debit cards?
They're speaking credit cards. Debit's a whole different animal.
Oh, okay. Because I think my cards are probably debit.
And debit cards don't have that 2% charge.
That's an interesting thought.
Because that's a direct, a check.
Yeah.
Comes right out of your banking account. You don't have to go through the middleman to get that. That's a direct thing.
So that's very interesting, because I don't think I get the cash discount with credit cards. debit card.
The biggest increase in card usage has been among the 25 under 25. In that group, 64% have credit cards, up from 56 in 2013. So yeah, that would be. And,
But
you
only
know, in college now, all these kids are getting
Oh yeah,
applications.
I remember even when I was in college, they sent me applications for credit
I
cards.
don't remember getting one. But maybe I wasn't a good student. I don't know.
It maybe had been connected with my military activities. I don't know.
It's interesting how many credit cards are in circulation.
That's a good question.
As of the fourth quarter of 2022, there are 548 million open accounts for general purpose credit cards.
Now, is that in the U.S. or worldwide?
U.S. I
Yeah,
mean, that
okay.
would be worldwide.
I thought it would be very
Most
small.
people that have credit cards have more than one, I would think.
I think so. I mean, one of the reasons that I got more than one credit card was as a backup if I had problems with one, and then I'd have another one that I could use.
And they separated store cards, like stores, like my business.
Yeah,
has,
right.
you know, store cards have been trending in the opposite direction. There were 200. I guess those are stores like Home Depot. They issue credit cards.
Almost any large enterprise wants you to get their credit card, it appears.
Oh man, there were 206 million retail cards open at the end of 22. The lowest number in the past decade, of down 18% from the peak of 251 million in 2017. So it's gone way down.
Well, I looked at, I won't name which place it was, but they offered me a significant discount on a reasonably good sized appliance. I think I could save $50 or $80 or something like that on a $400 appliance
I just bought
if I would apply for the credit card. But I read the terms. They were talking about 30% interest.
Of course.
I'm
Yes.
like, no way.
I just bought a washing machine yesterday at Lowe's, and there was a deal where I could have gotten $100 discount if I opened up a credit card.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Right.
I don't want that ding onto my credit history either.
There you go.
And I'm never going to use it. But I could have used $100.
Yeah, well, like I said, I looked at it and it was similar to what you're talking about, precisely. Very, very similar.
Yeah.
But and you couldn't, the way it was worded, like you couldn't pay it off right away.
Oh,
I mean, it
I
was,
didn't even read it.
It was like a
I just
certain
said no.
time that you had to have it or something. And I just said, this is a bad deal. I don't want it.
Credit card. How much do people spend on credit cards? As you know, there's an interest charge. Credit card holders charged $3.2 trillion to their cards. That's how much they charge in 2022.
So what does that come out to? Any average? Any idea what that comes out
No,
to?
but
from
you have
industry?
$3.2 trillion?
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Out of all that. That's but I buy most everything on credit card because there's a record.
I purchase quite a bit, but I find sometimes one of the reasons that I have cards is because I have a business as a writer. It's a business, and so I can keep track of my expenses much easier with a credit card.
It says holders of general purpose credit cards charge an average of $8,823 in purchases per account. So $9 grand.
So if you're talking
That's average.
3%, that's what, $300.
And it breaks it down to
$900 a year.
Breaks it down to a bunch of
No, it wouldn't be 900, it'd be about 300
by age and everything else. The average credit card holder had a total credit limit of about $26,000 across all their cards. Sounds about right.
Yeah, sounds reasonable.
It is. Man, a lot of questions about credit cards. I'd be curious about the interest. I don't know if it's in here because the interest they collect, about 44% of credit card payments were for the full balance. That's it.
44%.
Yeah, that's it.
Well,
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, I was saying 20 to 30% of people. So if 44% is for the full balance, I would say that's probably a good chunk of those are people who regularly pay off the balance.
It's 32%. It's less than 10% of the balance.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a good way to.
So
get
you have quite a spectrum there. People who use their credit cards way too much. It all depends. There's different reasons to use credit cards, and then there's people who use them very judiciously.
Average credit card interest rate 22.25. Oof. Yeah, I know, right?
Oh man, That's terrible.
And cardholders paid a record $25.4 billion in fees in 2022.
So to get on the other side of this equation, how are the credit card companies doing as stock? So if I want to buy stock in credit card companies because they make these,
I've never heard of a credit
outrageous
card company going under due to lack of funds.
Yeah, right. And then major banks that give them out.
Yeah, I think they do well because they're going to charge fees based on what it takes to operate. I'm running out of time. It's 8 o'clock, believe it or not. So
Wow.
we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. AM 560 KBLU.
There's a man in D.C. He stands 63. He's fighting for you. He's fighting for me.
This is Youth Talk 560 KBLU Yuma.
Giving Rush. I'm Dave Fox. There are 900 cities across the country. Far the issues during the government shutdown. Fox is Surrey, Atlanta, are keeping a close eye on them. Forecasters are keeping a close watch on the weather in the upper Midwest, with blizzard warnings in effect for the Great Lakes region beginning today and extending into Friday. This will have a ripple effect, even if you're traveling in the Sun Belt. I'm flying to Florida on Friday, but if my plane's heading from the upper Midwest and there's a snowstorm, I may be delayed. Americans traveling and what everybody predicts will be in record numbers for Thanksgiving are driving almost the exact same price for gas as last year. A high rise inferno keeps burning in Hong Kong, where it's 11 o'clock at night. That fire is raged for hours, and Reuters now reports a 14th death.
The flames roared up bamboo scaffolding and construction nets. 7 high-rise apartment blocks set alight. The night sky lit up by flames lapping out of dozens of windows. People are still reported to be trapped inside the buildings as firefighters battle to control multiple fires. Falling debris and scaffolding are adding to the challenging conditions.
Fox's Jonathan Savage, Special U.S. Envoy Steve Woodcock will return to Russia next week for more talks on the U.S. peace proposal Ukraine has agreed to in principle. As President Trump tells reporters he's fine-tuned the plan, trying to stop the war.
Ukraine is doing well. I think they're pretty happy about it. They'd like to see it end. And we won't know for a little while, but we're making progress.
Israel's handed the bodies over of more than 15 Palestinians complying with the terms of the ceasefire agreement that ended the war after Hamas released the body of another dead hostage who had been held in Gaza after being killed in the October 23 terror attack. Hamas still has to hand over 2 more hostage bodies to fully comply with the ceasefire. America's listening to Fox News.
Wesley Financial Group, not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not a firm. This is Chuck. If someone talks you into buying something really silly, you want to get out of that silly little thing, not fights. Get the facts. Call me and I'll send you a timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-809-7171. That's 800-809-7171. Julia owed the IRS thousands.
I was paralyzed with fear.
Then
I heard a commercial for Optima Tax Relief.
Optima Tax Relief is the leading tax resolution firm, A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and experts of the Fresh Start Initiative.
Optima Tax Relief settled my IRS tax bill.
Call Optima now for a free consultation.
It was amazing.
Call 800-926-0155. 800-926-0155. Optima Tax Relief. Visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
For the News 11's Information Desk, I'm Jeannie Rivera. Public transit helps some people get where they need to go, but White Cat is running into some challenges that could affect the services it provides. White Cat buses are getting busier, but the system continues to lose federal dollars because local funding isn't keeping up. Because of that shortfall, White Cat has to return federal funds it can't use, which is between $3 and $5 million. Plus, the Yuma Police Department wants to warn the community about an increase in package theft. YPD says that theft is more common with the holiday season upon us and Christmas presents rolling in. There are a couple of ways to detect your delivered goods from theft, like a Ring camera, home, delivered to work, or picking your package up at the post office. Mike Lee says it's essential to do whatever you can to protect yourself against theft. Catch us on TV side on News 11 every weekday at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. for your latest local news, weather, and sports.
All right, do-it-yourselfer, you've got the idea, and you got your building supplies at Southwest Lumber. That's right. Now, all you need is a bunch of expensive tools to get the job done.
Oh, that's right.
And you know just the place to rent them. Southwest Lumber, your home for everything home improvement. Southwest Lumber has half-day to multiple-day rentals available on just about anything you need to finish the job. Rent equipment and tools on Saturday and Sunday. It's free. Stop in today at 1917 South Avenue B in Yuma. Southwest Lumber, ready for everything.
There's a man in D.C. AM 560 KBLU, Russ Clark with you. Dean's here.
Glad to be here. And I'd like to elaborate a little bit on the question about being a skeptic on Trump policies, because there are some very specific policies that I'm quite skeptical about. The Department of Justice has recently challenged lawsuits that are trying to get the court to enforce the Second Amendment. And one of those is on this, they did away with the taxes on silencers and short-barreled rifles and shotguns as part of the big, beautiful bill. And so there's a lawsuit saying that tax system called the National Firearms Act was put in place because it was a use of the taxing power of Congress. And there have been several courts over the years that have upheld the law based on that it is a tax, and the registration requirements and the stamp requirements are all required to follow people to make sure that they are paying the tax. So the lawsuit says there's no more tax on these items, so the registration systems are no longer valid. And the Trump administration, through the DOJ, is challenging that and opposing that interpretation. So I disagree with them there. I think they should just say, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that taxes is gone. Those should just be removed from the NFA. It's not like the Trump administration didn't try to remove them already. They tried to in the big, beautiful bill, but they were only able to get the tax system through. So some of the DOJ briefs to try to maintain laws that I believe are unconstitutional under the Second Amendment, I definitely disagree with those.
So can you buy a silencer now without paying the $250?
January 1st.
January 1st.
Is when that goes.
I'm not in a big
effect.
hurry, but just a few things from Edward, which we read a little bit off air, which were kind of nice. This talks about Trump a little bit. Trump pardoned 2 turkeys at the White House. And a federal judge instantly overturned the pardons, stating they were illegally offered, which is actually not true, but hilarious.
It's funny. I thought that was a good joke.
It shows how much they keep going after Trump. He talked about the driver's license. You know, when I'm confused on how you can make a driver's license so easily to be read by a barcode. Apparently, the barcodes on the back of licenses are designed based on a mathematical formula, and many states have had that formula hacked, which is how many fake IDs go into it. So apparently, you can do it fairly easily.
Yeah, I'm presuming that what they're saying is that the barcode gives you information that has to match up with the physical printing on the ID. So I could see how you could hack that.
Another thing he wrote, you know, we were talking about the Tempe Tavern a lot, where there was 276 or something people that were arrested were underage, which I thought outrageous. Well, it is outrageous. There were the fire code maximum was only 430 people total, plus another 100 could be outside.
Yeah.
So that would be half of the place.
Yeah, half
was underage.
Half of the capacity. We don't know if it was at capacity. It could be.
Yeah.
But half of the capacity of the place were illegitimate IDs.
If I walked into a place like that and half of it was under the age of 21, I think I would notice an atmosphere difference.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I'm thinking word went out. We're going to have a party at this place or something, you know, and goes through social media and they get and of course they make money. You know.
But yeah, but fake IDs apparently are a little easier to hack than I thought as far as driving.
I am surprised because there's a lot of technology that goes into IDs to try to make them more difficult. But on the other hand, the acceleration in our technology and the tools that are available to people, like very fine resolution on printers and things like that, probably make them easier to fake.
Now, you have a hard card passport. I do,
Right.
which amazed me how many things were in there to trip up a counterfeiter.
Oh, it's I think it would be very difficult to fake. I mean, there's holograms, there's just all kinds of stuff.
Plus, they read that electronically.
Right.
In fact, that's why I keep it in the case that it came in, which blocks them from reading it while it's in my wallet.
RFID proof. Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as you go there, they know more about you than you want them to know. But I would imagine that would be hard to hack also.
I would think so. I mean, there was a lot of thought that went into that.
Yeah.
But again, the acceleration in our technological capacities is just continuing.
Another question about dog tags. What were they made of and all that? Edward found out what they were made of. It's mono metals, which I don't even know what that was. You knew. It's a nickel,
copper nickel, cupro-nickel alloy, which is one of the toughest alloys for resists salt water. And of course, blood is mostly salt water. And it's just a very tough, very resistant to any kind of corrosion metal. So, and expensive too. So the fact that these dog tags were made of that, I'm impressed. That's a really serious technological.
They stopped using them in 43, and now it's stainless steel, which is still tough.
Yeah,
but
they now individually a dog tag just doesn't have much metal there.
No,
so it'd be worth it. Just a couple, maybe pennies or nickel.
Yeah. But when you're buying 100 million of them,
right, it adds up. And of course, those metals, nickel and copper, were extremely important to the war effort.
Oh yeah.
So it's you could see why they were trying to figure out better ways.
Still, really,
it's very important, and nickel is very important.
Yeah. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, man.
Good morning.
This call will be recorded.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay. Record me all you want.
Yeah, I always figure I'm being recorded.
These darn phones, you bump anything and things go crazy. But hey, going back to the fake ID thing, the bars are only required and they'll slide it.
Oh, I lost you.
Yeah,
are we there?
No, you broke up, but the bars are only required to when you quit. Was it required to what?
To slide your ID card, and then it processes that information on the card that has your whatever name and whatever that is. Well, whoever's making these fake IDs, and you can get them really cheap, 2 for $100, and every college town in Arizona, I know, because I know some teenagers that have done it, and it has your picture on there, just like you go get your passport picture, you send it to whoever these people are, and in a week, you've got 2 fake IDs for $100.
Wow.
I had no idea.
So for college kids, I don't think it's that big a deal, but it worries me whether you can use those cards for other things like flying and whatever, government agencies. I don't know.
Sure.
But do knowing some teenagers that have practiced this principle and in college towns, it's really super simple, and it's too simple.
Wow, man, I appreciate that call. I had no idea.
Yeah,
that
that's
existing.
Fascinating. I don't think those would pass like airport security.
No, that's a whole different card. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think so either. But it's a driver's license. It's a driver's license, and your name could be Russ Clark on there, and you're from New York. Buffalo, New York, and it has your picture on it. I don't see, when I did see one, I did not see anything that had your social security number or anything like that, but it did have a driver's license number and I'm assuming it's valid from whoever that person really is.
I don't know about that. I think that's a whole nother ballgame. If it'll pass just being scanned at a bar is one thing. But to go into the system and match up with the data they have inside the system, that's much more difficult.
And I agree with you, but
for purposes of a bar,
right?
And whatever, for purposes of a bar, I'm sure they have the most simplistic, cheapest form of checking your IDs, and that's why they didn't get cited.
And
they won't.
And also, most traffic contacts, they will check your driver's license into the system. Not all,
right?
But
right.
Most of them they probably do. So, if you're very careful in your driving, you probably could use that driver's license for a whole lot of things.
Well, being a dad of sophomore in college, I'm aware of how this works. And when you said Tempe, I'm surprised you didn't say University of Arizona. So all that told me is that it's everywhere.
Man,
wow,
that's awesome. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the call.
Yeah,
you bet.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's
Bye-bye.
great
Poor guy has a
information.
kid. It's a sophomore in college. It's a tough deal.
Well, personally, I think. Well, I don't know. I always thought that. Of course, I had a daughter who went to college, and she was just stellar. Of course, she's got her own children now, but she was did fantastic in college, so I didn't have to worry much.
My son went to the Air Force Academy. There wasn't any chance of him having a
Yeah, there you go.
bang.
He had a tough time getting out.
Yeah, they didn't even let him out on weekends that first year or anything.
Yeah,
He
wow.
was
It's
there.
a very tough school.
He describes it as a great school to be from.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely have.
Yeah, but it's
have the possibility.
its enjoyment level isn't on a high scale.
Well,
It's
to
not
accomplish wonderful things, you have to go through a lot of work.
It's not a party school.
No.
I'm looking at my driver's license, and I have a real driver's license. What do they call real ones? Where they'll get you on an airplane.
Yeah. Oh, real ID.
Real ID. Total different animal. It's built a little more like my passport with all these smaller pictures in there and all that holographic stuff in there.
I've taken to using my passport for air travel.
You can easily, but I went ahead and got it anyway. I got the it was an extra $25.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe now that I'm in my mid-70s, and I don't think I'd make much of an infantryman anymore.
Probably not.
So maybe I won't worry about those kind of things.
But with old age comes treachery. I think you'd still be effective.
Well, I'm not saying I can't shoot, but that's a small part of being an infantryman. It's an important part, but it's not. There's so many other things.
Yeah. Well, I've heard it say before they should send old men to war because they're just meaner. Get off my lawn, guys.
Hard to keep up.
I don't think there'd be a lot of discipline.
I think we're going to see more and more drones being really important, and the operators won't necessarily have to be able to run 10 miles.
Yeah.
They have to be good at what they do.
Well,
I'd like to see our National Guard, militia, state forces integrate a lot of drones into their forces, maybe even have special drone units. To me, a drone now is probably at least as important as having a rifle or a pistol.
Oh, if you're watching the Ukraine-Russia war,
right.
Also, man, it's just,
absolutely. I mean, if either of those sides did not have drones, they'd have lost long ago.
I don't know. I've sat down and there's some YouTube stuff out there that shows how the Ukraine has broke through some of the defenses in Russia with drones. It's amazingly complex and sophisticated, and it's waves of drones and drones designed.
Sure, I mean it's using full military tactics with the drones. Distraction, deception.
Yes,
all these things,
and using their own weapons against them because they realize once they fire the weapons, it takes them so long to reload those weapons or whatever.
Sure.
So they put enough out there, and then they've got these windows open where I can sneak through because there's so much clutter in the air that they can't see the radar reflection. I'm like, really? Somebody really sits down and
absolutely. I mean, I was reading a book about the B-29 bombers, which were used in Japan. I don't know if they were ever used in the European theater. They only had one or two there, so they just had a very small number that ever went to Europe because they were never quite ready before the E-Day, and so they sent them almost all to Japan. And Curtis LeMay, figuring out the strategy to bomb Japan, figured out, and there were some other people, it wasn't just him, that there was this narrow window in elevation at about 9,000 feet where the flak guns they had couldn't shoot that low, and the direct fire weapons couldn't shoot that high.
Oh.
And so it was this window where he could send planes in, and there was almost no opposition to them at that particular couple of thousand foot level.
Figured that out.
And they burned down huge amounts of Japanese cities with incendiary bombs. Tokyo was the first one.
Yeah.
And that they killed more people with those incendiary bombs than they did with the atomic bomb.
Right. But the atomic bomb was an emotional level.
Yeah, one bomb does this,
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
The fire bombs was Tokyo was flammable.
Well, it was very flammable back then, and it decreased. I mean, it decreased the war effort. There was a lot of war material that was being produced in residential areas, and as they would try to spread it out to make it less vulnerable. So they killed a lot of people, but it was war. What can I say? If the Japanese had won, we'd have been in tough shape.
But the drones that you mentioned are so sophisticated now, and the sophistication doesn't even come from a high dollar per unit. The sophistication is low dollars per unit.
Yeah.
It's coordination, communication, intelligence that go into it, and you can put these drones in there for a couple $100,000 and take out huge amounts of weaponry.
Well, sure, I've followed some of this, and they have a lot of drones they're basically used like expendable munitions. And the drone may cost as little as $4,000 or $5,000 and be extremely capable. And it's changing the face of warfare. Now, we are developing sophisticated anti-drone defenses too.
Right.
And so I don't know how this is going to work out in the final balance of things. But it's the way warfare works. Somebody comes up with a technology, and then somebody comes up with a counter to it, and it just keeps building.
Some of these drones now are not flying electronically. I mean, they're flying electronically. They're flying by wire. They'll take
a fiber optic
wire that maybe 2 miles long, and on the front, and it's impervious to all these blockers.
Yeah,
and
you can't jam it. Yeah. Right. And then there's you look at what is happening in Israel, where they have this. I think it's called Iron Beam 450. I think that's the right nomenclature. And it's a laser system that can shoot down drones and munitions out to about 6 miles away.
Yeah.
And it is electronically powered. That is that it doesn't depend on like fuel, like gases, like some of the early lasers were like iodine lasers or such. Yeah. Right. And so theoretically, it can operate almost continuously as long as it has power, electrical power. So it needs electrical power. And so it can put out a lot of shots, and it can shoot down drones. Each shot only costs a couple of bucks in power.
Yeah. Part of the problem with it, though, is it's limited. Some of those drones, you have to concentrate the beam on the drone for a few seconds.
Right, correct.
So you're limited to how many you can shoot down before they all get to you. If they send a swarm of 100, you're not going to get them all.
Well, if it depends how fast they're going, a lot of different variables. Yeah. But the laser offers much more, the ability to shoot down a lot more than generally you get with projectile weapons.
Right. Yeah, but they say some of the missiles and stuff, or to shoot that down, takes a lot longer to burn through.
Right.
It's got to burn through.
And there are ways that you can try to counter this with trajectories that are difficult to follow, ablative materials, a mirror finish, and all of those have counters, and it gets pretty sophisticated.
But the lasers are becoming. They're on boats now. They're on ships.
Yes,
and they're out there. They're being used now.
In Israel, they have 3 versions. This Iron Dome 450, not Iron Dome, Iron Beam, and that is, I think it's 100 kilowatt power in the beam, and then they have the one that's half that size, that is not a permanent installation. You can move it around, but it's not like on a truck. It takes several vehicles and it takes a little setup. And then they have one that they mount right on a truck that is about 10 kilowatts, and that's limited to about, I think, 1.5 kilometers or so in range. But all of these things offer you important capabilities that generally do not exist in other militaries yet. Now, the Chinese are working on it.
Of course.
They're working, and they've got some that are pretty impressive, but nothing to quite the level that we see in the Israelis.
They're probably making the rare earth minerals and everything for the ones that we have even.
It might be, and that's something to be concerned with.
Yes, it is. I want to talk about Joy Reid. You know who Joy Reid is?
Well, I know the name. Isn't she on some television show or something?
Well, she was MSNBC. She was fired for being too outrageous, but now she's doing a podcast called I've Had It because she was fired. I mean, to be too outrageous for MSNBC.
Well, that's pretty outrageous. That's why I'm wondering how popular is her podcast.
Don't know, but she's still getting talked about. Here we are talking about her. But she speculated the other day that Vance may not be the 2028 heir apparent to Donald Trump.
Well, it's possible.
I'll tell you why after the phone call, because I did turn it on. You're on the air.
I have a question, Russ.
Yes, sir.
Dean was just getting ready to talk about a military package of ours, and the radio signal went completely dead.
Okay, military packages.
Well, maybe it was the Iron Beam in Israel, the 450 laser. 450.
So you think they're listening and they shut the beam down?
I don't know. I'm just telling you, he was getting ready to describe that.
Yeah, see, they blocked us.
Well, we've been working on lasers for, oh gosh.
He has no secret clearance, so nothing that is not.
Well, I don't know. I might have a clearance yet, but I don't get any secret material. This was in public domain stuff. It was published. I think it was an Israeli publication that put it out. Had pictures of this 450, which the 450 refers to the diameter of the beam, 450 millimeters. It described the range as being about 10 kilometers, maybe a little more. And I've been involved with the laser testing for the U.S. military. Let's say the first test that I was aware of was in the middle 1970s, where I sent people to support a mission, and they showed proof of principle that a laser could theoretically shoot down a helicopter. Now, this was under the best possible conditions at the time. We've come a long way. That's 50 years ago.
Remember,
and we now have lasers that can actively shoot down projectiles like mortars, artillery shells. When I say shoot them down, it's getting them to detonate in the air rather than at your feet. And they can shoot.
I told you at Quantico about the helicopters being shot down and the plane that had the base commander's wife wanted to get shot down in the river.
Yeah.
They were trying to use that technology. What it did was it burned out all the electronics in the helicopters and the airplane.
They didn't mean to shoot the airplane down.
No, it was, I think, a misfire, and they thought that she went down with the plane, and we were on the boat out there when it happened, and they freaked out, but she had got off the plane and was doing touchdowns and takeoffs, practicing touchdowns.
Oh, yeah, touch and goes, okay.
Yeah, she got on the plane, it came in, she got off, but they didn't know that she got off, and the plane got shot down in the river.
That happens.
But they put 3 or 4 helicopters across the river down with it.
I know that electronic warfare is a big thing in the U.S. military. I mean, it's a real big thing, and I'm not divulging, I don't think, any classified stuff to say that we do a lot of jamming with various systems, and we know how to jam GPS signals, for example.
Right.
So all of that is out there, and it's all advancing rapidly.
Right. Didn't we develop the rods of God or something?
Well, I actually have written a fair amount about that. That was a concept that Paul Anderson and I think he was the major person, Larry Niven maybe, that they developed this for the Defense Department back in I think it was the 70s. I mean, the concept turned out to be impractical because it was just so expensive to put that much weight into orbit. I mean, when you had to spend $5,000 per pound to get something into orbit, talking about putting up 40,000 pounds it's too expensive.
Hey, let me take a quick break, Ted. I appreciate the
thank
call.
you. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. We'll be right back.
Beautiful week of weather continues with sunny and 75 today, 55 and partly cloudy tonight. Thanksgiving Day, partly cloudy and 75, 50 tomorrow night, and sunny and 75 again on Friday.
Sprague Sports is Yuma's hunting and shooting headquarters, and Sprague's has been serving Yuma hunters and shooters for over 66 years. Today, we're in need of used guns. 1 gun, 10 guns, 100 gun collection, all are welcome and needed. We buy, sell, trade, and consign used guns 6 days a week and offer free appraisal. So stop by or call Sprague Sports today and let the friendly staff surprise you with how much your extra guns may be worth. Sprague sells thousands of used guns yearly and offers an exclusive lifetime warranty on all guns, a $100 value. So pick up the phone, get in the car, whatever it takes. You got used firearms? Sprague's is your place. Who knows what you're sitting on and who knows what it's worth? Let the fine folks at Sprague Sports help you figure it out. Used firearms at Sprague's. Sprague's, Yuma's hunting and shooting headquarters. Responsible gun ownership since 1956. Sprague's, 32nd Street, next to Lowe's.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
There's a man in D.C.
AM 560 KBLU. Russ Clark with you. Dean's here.
Yes, and I need to make a correction. I said it was Paul Anderson. It wasn't Paul Anderson. It was Jerry Pornell who came up with the concept of rods from God. And it's getting some new looks now because Elon Musk's and the SpaceX have made cost of going to orbit so much cheaper. I mean, they had decreased it to at least $800 a pound, more than a year ago. And the projection is they're going to be able to bring it down to something like $20 a pound in the next 3 or 4 years. If they get it down that low, then a 40,000 pound projectile in space that can deliver very quickly an impact of, a small nuclear device, maybe like a small tactical nuke, to just about anywhere on Earth and is almost impossible to stop, becomes very interesting.
Yeah, the scary deal. Rods from God would not have any kind of explosives, but it would have so much kinetic energy.
Exactly.
It wouldn't need it.
Right. Originally they would talk about making these out of tungsten, but the problem is that tungsten's expensive. And so I would think you could do the same thing with a steel rod that's the size of a telephone pole, essentially, and, got some guidance on it. And just make the cap, the first foot or so of tungsten to take most of the heat. So I think there's ways to work around this and make this a viable concept. It's not forbidden by the military in space because that forbids nuclear weapons. So this is not a nuclear weapon. It's just a kinetic weapon.
Yeah,
it's like, a very, very big artillery round without any explosives. It's an impressive concept, and I think it's
been
at least
tested.
people are looking back. Well, they claim that the Chinese tested it.
Okay.
And they said, it doesn't really work because of X and X and X. Hard to know coming from the China whether this is real or not.
I would think, winds and everything, it would be hard to be exact if you just.
I think because it's moving so fast. I mean, that's the whole idea, is that these things move at maybe 20,000 miles an hour or so.
So you're going to hear it coming. There's going to be some sonic
it'll be there
booms.
before the sound wave ever gets there.
Oh, that's right. Would be.
The idea is that it could penetrate, maybe a couple hundred feet into the Earth. And so it was thought that it might be very good at taking out hardened targets. I think they really have to do more testing on that because you get some effects when you're moving that fast. The dynamics change a lot, and so we don't know that it'll happen the same way as things that are only traveling on a couple thousand feet per second.
Well, meteors come in and they burn up.
That's right, and that's why this thing is very long compared to its diameter, and it's made of materials that are very resistant to heat. So the idea is that you have a guidance system on it, and these are things that fit very well with the SpaceX technology that they're learning about.
Well, we had a meteor that hit Arizona many centuries ago. That's
Meteor
still
crater.
The crater is huge.
It is, but it was big. It was much bigger than a rod from God.
Yeah, but it wasn't as big as the hole.
No,
The hole
no,
it made.
and it almost totally disintegrated. They've only found a few chunks that
that's what I
were about the
understand.
size of a car. I think
They're
the biggest chunk they found.
digging down there looking for it.
Yeah, there was somebody said, well, if it hit, and we see from these fragments that it's nickel iron, it's worth a lot of money. And they put a big mining company and they searched, but they never found a big body of ore.
They assumed it would be, I guess.
They thought it would be there, but it broke up so much, and a lot of it got splashed out to the surrounding countryside. And the biggest chunks they found were about the size of a small automobile, heavier than an automobile. It looks like nickel iron.
Worth some money, but not going to open up a whole mining operation.
That's just it. They spent a lot of money on it, and unfortunately, they never made a profit.
I started talking about Joy Reid, and I want to finish that up a little bit just because I find her outrageous. And just some of the things that these liberal minds come up with just amaze me. But she said that there might not be a 2028 heir apparent to President Donald Trump because MAGA supporters wouldn't accept someone like Ursula Vance as First Lady. Now, that is the wife of J.D. Vance.
Right.
Who is, what is she? Indian. I think she's from India.
East Indian ancestry, I think.
Okay, yeah. She said they can't have a successor to MAGA be the guy with the brown Hindu wife.
Well, this shows
How
the
outrageous.
assumptions on the side of the left where they assume things that are not necessarily so. And in fact, in this case, I think it's just not correct.
Has she ever spent any time with them?
MAGA, no.
Anybody that wears a MAGA hat? They're also Christian nationalists. That ain't going to work.
Well, first off,
that's why he's throwing his wife under the bus. Poor Ursula. Oh, she's in on it.
it's just laughable. And first off, what is this thing where they're trying to demonize the idea of Christian nationalists? I'm a Christian and I'm a nationalist.
Yeah.
So what's the problem?
What does a Christian nationalist mean anyway?
It means you're a Christian and you support the USA. That's what it appears to mean. What else does it mean?
Well, there was a co-host on there, Jennifer Welch. It says, "Playing slap and tickle with Erica Kirk is the weirdest crap I've ever seen." And she said she's like in her Tammy Faye era. Now, Erica Kirk came up and gave him a hug and patted him on the back of the head or something, which is she's a huggy girl. She's explained this like, what's the big deal? Who's going crazy over this stuff? Well, apparently Joy Reid was going crazy.
I guess so.
Yeah. She said holding on the back of his head and rubbing his head would be suspicious of a woman and her husband like that, referring to how Erica embraced him and all that. You're not doing that right thing. You're supposed to be a widow. You're in leather pants. That's not widow wear. Just horrible people. Where are these? And I guess there's people listening to this podcast. Did they come up with this? He can't be president. He's going to have to divorce his wife.
This strikes me that it's sort of aimed at single women.
I don't know.
I mean, remember what's the biggest single
racist women? They're very racist.
What's the biggest department or not department cohort on the left? It's single women.
Is it? I guess so.
Actually, it's single white women even. But single women particularly who are college educated.
She finished it up by saying, wouldn't it be the most perfect fairy tale, MAGA fairy tale, if he finally sees a light that he needs a white queen instead of a brown Hindu? I mean, I'm not saying that's happening, or maybe that Ursula is not even in on it. What crap. and drivel and embarrassment. I mean, this is. I mean, I don't even think JD even made a comment about it.
I'd like to see, for some women out there, if they think this is the sort of stuff you see in high school girlish cliques. I don't know.
It sounds
kind of weird.
She's so racist. Of course, she's projecting. She's only repeating what the MAGA would say. MAGA. I don't know what MAGA person's that racist or Republican or conservative. I don't know.
Well, they're racist everywhere. I see a lot of racists in the Democratic Party. So
I definitely see it in the Democratic Party.
So there's probably some in MAGA as well, because it's a human characteristic to be skeptical of people that aren't in your group. But it seems to be a very small cohort.
I printed out a lot of stories on ICE today. In fact, I saw so much on ICE. ICE is getting hammered out there. And that's an intentional thing from the Democrat left.
Yes.
Anti-police, anti-enforcement of laws, and they've demonized ICE has been the big thing, and it's a terrible result. We have an ICE agent in town that I know, and I sent him a note this morning. Told him I was reading stories this morning about lawsuits and attacks on agents. I pray you are doing well, and thank you for all you do to keep our country safe and secure. God bless you and stay safe. He wrote me back and says, we're fortunate that Yuma isn't like the other cities, which is good to hear.
Well, I know that a few months ago, morale inside of ICE was very high.
Yeah.
I suspect it still is, but they probably do have concerns.
I would think so. I would think it's high. They're doing what they were,
what they're hired to do,
what they hired, what they wanted to do, what they applied to do. And there is a pushback. That pushback, I would see it as criminal element pushback, not from the people who are trying to save. It's criminal element pushback. And some of those criminal elements carry positions in the Democrat Party.
Yeah, I agree.
New York Times wrote a story on an illegal immigrant stealing a Minnesota man's identity, which is not unusual. Believe me, immigrants are stealing identities like crazy. But this one did a lot of damage. In the Times piece, it was the headline was 2 men, 1 identity, both paid the price. Throwing victimization at the person stealing the identity.
Right.
Because it's hard life for him, stealing people's identities. Oh, man. The guy's name was Daniel Glover. He was reported stolen by an illegal immigrant from Guatemala. He endured years of IRS fines, garnished paychecks as the man assuming his identity earned incomes in other states that pushed the real Glover into an impossible tax bracket. The illegal is Romero Perez Bravo. Perez Bravo assumed several identities in over decades of living illegally in the United States. Racked up several drunk driving charges, was deported in 05, 08, and 09. But he returned each time, brought another illicit ID. The fake Glover, when he was a fake Glover, he was involved in a fatal car accident in 2022. He accidentally struck and killed a man who was riding with his granddaughter on a motorized tricycle. That led to a wrongful lawsuit death, with Glover listed as a defendant, the real Glover.
Right.
Listed as a defendant. Now, he's frustrated with liberal politicians in Minnesota who thought illegal immigration was a victimless crime. He points out to his debts the frustration of waiting for an investigation to find imposters. Eventually, investigators took his case, discovered Perez Bravo, who was charged with aggravated identity theft, false presentation of a Social Security number, held in detention for 6 weeks before an initial bond hearing in April, and is currently awaiting trial, where he's almost certainly will face prison time and another deportation. The Times featured interviews with both men and noted that Perez Bravo was fearful of being discovered in the second Trump administration.
Well, when you're a criminal, you usually are fearful of being discovered.
Right. He is a long
career criminal.
Yeah. And has been deported 3 times.
Right.
And each time he's deported, he's never allowed back in the United States. And yet we throw softballs. We don't do what the law actually entails.
Well, I think President Trump is trying to change that, and he's succeeding.
But it's hard to believe that the Times has a sympathy for this illegal alien that's a career criminal.
Well, we've seen many times where people on the left view criminals differently. They don't view them as somebody who's flouting society's rules and is harming people. They view them as victims.
You know who has the best handle on criminals? Venezuela. Now, Venezuela is known as being one of the more dangerous places in the world. It's not now.
I think you mean El Salvador.
El Salvador. You're exactly right. El Salvador. My apologies. El Salvador.
Yeah, they have.
They cleaned it up.
Amazing success.
And that president has the highest rating of a president of anywhere in the world.
Right.
Because he came in, which is, and the secret was a prison that's not fun to be in.
Right.
Apparently they are constantly working, constantly doing things, and they're busy. This prison's busy. They make these guys work for a living, and apparently it's really cleaned up a lot of stuff.
Well, they had gangs, relatively successful gangs, quite a number of them, that made living in El Salvador a very dangerous business.
Right.
And it was like having a bunch of, warlords constantly at war with one another, and anybody who gets in the way, we just kill them. It was horrible.
Did you see how they haul new prisoners into that place? I mean, they have a tally port type thing that's really huge, and they bring these people in. They hold them so their face is only seeing their shoes. There's no playing around with these guys. You're handling each one of them like they're the most dangerous man in the world. And they control every moment they make, and they keep them working, keep them going. And apparently it's done great things. Now, a lot of prisons, people are just hanging around and discussing new ways to break laws.
Well, that's right. I mean, a lot of U.S. prisons, one of the problems is that you take somebody who's only committed a few crimes or a couple, and they go in there and they learn how to be a really good criminal.
Right.
How to be more effective as a criminal, I should say, because they're not good. But I have a feeling that is not allowed in the El Salvadorian prison system.
No. Apparently they're monitored every second, and they're put in solitary, they're put away from other people, whatever, and they get out for breaks, food, whatever, and work. And work seems to be a big deal. They put them, if you want to get out of solitary, go to work. And then it's very disciplined. I mean, if you see I saw one of them that was a big room filled with lots of sewing machines and stuff. I don't know what they were making. They were making something, but they were diligent. I mean, everybody was working. It wasn't nobody sloppy. Everything was crystal clean. I mean, the place was nice. It was spotless, and tons of guards watching their every move. Nobody got out of line, it looks like, and the place cleaned up.
Well, it doesn't sound quite as bad as what I've read about the gulags or the killing fields in Cambodia, or even maybe the Great Step Forward in China.
No. I don't get the impression that's what it is either, but it's
right, because they don't just kill people on a whim, but they're very strict, it sounds like, and that's what it takes.
And every minute of the day is scheduled, but you're not going to
scheduled and monitored.
You're not going to be doing something illegal. Well, I think a lot of that's solitary, and it's not an easy prison.
Correct,
but it's not a gulag.
But I guess what I would want to know, I haven't seen an article on this, is how do people get out of that prison? I mean, are they released after 5 years, 10 years, 20 years?
I don't know. I haven't read a lot on it. I was just surprised at how quickly it turned around the country.
That was the most amazing thing. I mean, we saw El Salvador go from one of the most dangerous places in the world to being pretty safe.
Probably safer than Detroit.
Or
Chicago.
Suspect, yeah, very likely.
Yeah. So good for them. Good for them. There's an article here called "The Truth About ICE: Inside the Mission to Track Down Criminals and Protect Communities." And it comes from a guy named Tom Prasad. He's a Houston field office. He's an assistant field office director at the Houston field office. And he says there's misinformation, misleading videos, putting them at risk, fueling public hostility and attacks on officers. They had some news teams riding with them in Dallas down there just to give them an eye of what it is, and gave him an opportunity to get some of the story out. He says, I don't think anyone wants to have criminals living in their community, breaking and robbing from them, stealing from them, raping them, child predators, gangbangers, and all these people commit their crimes. They should go back to their home country. It's a privilege to live here. And I guess that's not the information that gets out.
Correct.
About these guys. He says, we want to keep our community safe, stop believing that people are posting as far as like ICE is out there conducting raids. ICE is just arresting anyone they see or they're profiting. Or profiling, which they do profile. They profile criminals.
Of course.
I don't care what race they are. But he says, it's not just one specific community. It just depends on their criminality. Many protesters and critics of ICE do not understand how the agency operates and criticizes media outlets for misrepresenting ICE works. I'm not going to say all media, but the majority of them don't put out the whole story. They just put out part of it. So then the general public or even the communities, they're not informed fully. So then they make just a rash decision, a rash conclusion about what we're doing. I feel the media would actually tell the whole story. It would make everyone's lives a lot easier doing this job. And also, you don't have these people resisting and running and fleeing and fighting and assaulting officers. Assaults have gone up dramatically in the last 6 to 7 months. Folks, we need to do better to educate as far as like our agency and what we do. We see a lot of it right now, but I think it comes from the Democrat politicians, asking, please get involved, please block, please.
Oh, absolutely. And I've been saying for years that we now have a partisan media, that people have to pay attention to what side the media they're watching is on. And a lot of the old media pretended that they were not partisan for a long time. But I think that mask has been torn off, particularly by Donald Trump. And so since we now have a partisan media, to expect media to be honest and careful about their reporting is expecting something you're probably not going to get a lot of.
But does it surprise you as field director, the one thing he wants to talk about is a misrepresentation from the press, and it's hurting us?
No, I think that's important to get that message out. But I don't think he should expect to get honest reporting.
Of course, he has an organization there that decided to do a ride along as such, and to mirror.
Right, and if they decide to do that, they're probably above average.
Yeah, they're actually going to get the real story.
Right.
Not very common. Apparently, ICE officers are experiencing an 8,000% increase in death threats targeting ICE officers.
Yeah,
that's a big number. That's almost like Nancy Pelosi's return on investment.
Yeah, I'm always skeptical about statistics because what's that old story? There's lies, danged lies, and statistics.
Yeah,
and I know how to lie with statistics. And so when you put out a number like 8,000%, you could say 80 times as large, which is still a big number, but 8,000 sounds more.
I wouldn't have thought ICE officers would get many death threats at all because they're really kind of invisible. They're not the guys that are doing PR.
Well, I had a friend who worked in ICE quite a bit, and it's not uncommon for them to get threats by people who are in the cartel.
Right. And
and so it may be that, but I think it's gone up so much. I don't think this is.
But right now, they're getting threats from citizens. They're getting threats from community leaders.
Exactly.
They're getting threats from J.D. Pritzker.
As you have noted, this is part of the left's plan, is to illegitimize the current regime as much as possible. And they're willing to go to all kinds of horrible lengths to do so because they realize what a good job President Trump is doing. If he succeeds, they're done. They cannot succeed as this radical leftist party they've become in the last few years.
When they go into places like Chicago, they're going into enemy territory, and enemy meaning the civilian population.
Well, a big chunk of it. Yes.
Yeah, not just Well, and they're on rapid response at civilian operative. They have some organizations where they find out an ICE officer's down the street. They put out the response team comes running and protesting, blocking, yelling.
And the story we're not getting is all the citizens who are cheering them on and saying, well, thank God crime is going down.
They're not going to get mixed up in that mess. They're not going to come out. The
Right.
ones that are visible, the ones we see.
Exactly correct.
Yeah. Well, Tricia McLaughlin, she's an assistant secretary in the DHS. She said the threats come as officers risk their lives every single day to remove the worst of the worst. From bounties placed on their heads, which we've had a lot of those,
Yes.
for their murders, threats to their families, stalking and doxing online, our officers are experiencing an unprecedented level of violence. Now, you notice the ICE officers, when they're doing the actual raids, they wear face protection.
Yes.
A lot to cover their identity, too, because they get so much doxing, so much threats on their family.
Right.
And the local politicians are making laws to say you're not allowed to cover your face because we want to dox you.
Correct.
It's just crazy.
Well, and it's not a good thing because we see societies that are falling apart. This is what happens. I mean, down in Mexico, many of the forces down there wear masks.
Yeah.
For the same reason.
They've done it for years.
Yes, exactly.
Right, because they don't want the cartels to even know who they are.
Right, exactly. Because these cartels have a lot of money and organization.
Right.
And
they do here in the United States, too.
Right.
And it's just as dangerous here. Maybe not.
I don't think it's just as dangerous.
But
But in certain locations, it's very dangerous.
Correct. I think that's more correct. Absolutely.
But I don't think generally the cartels, at least they don't want the United States to turn into Mexico because they want safe havens too. They want a place that they can put money in, it'll mean something. But I think it's a little different with the Venezuelan cartels because it's so directly backed up by a government. And Venezuela has not had a good election. And so it's not considered a legitimate government. It's different. Where Mexico's elections probably were pretty reasonably well conducted.
Probably. Eric Swalwell. And is he running for governor? Yeah, he's running for governor in California. He claimed that members of the military are telling him that they can be a check on President Donald Trump.
Okay. I mean, you can, if you look hard enough, you can find, there's a lot of members of the military.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find somebody to do it.
And there's a lot of people who like to brag.
I want the names of these military people. I don't think so. And this is all about the refuse illegal orders type thing. That's the new mantra of the left right now. Refuse illegal orders, and Trump's the target. But he hasn't done anything wrong that we know of.
Right.
But
it's a replay of the Vietnam War, the tactics they used then.
Well, he talks about Mark Kelly and all that. So I'll argue that Trump administration told on itself by going after Kelly for his call to resist illegal orders and revealed that some service members have been behaving as a check on the president. I mean, I think he's as bad as Joy Reid.
Yes, it sounds like it.
That he's making this stuff up as he goes.
Well, a lot of it is a wishful thinking, and they're trying to say this. If we say it happens, more of it'll happen.
I think so. Well, it is to
it's to encourage people, and it puts those people at risk.
Of course. He says, what gives me hope is that I talk to service members all the time, and they tell me I don't appreciate enough, and the public doesn't appreciate enough, that while Congress is not a check on the president anymore, and the judiciary and the Supreme Court is hardly a check, military members have told me we can be a check.
Wow. I find that not real credible, not impossible, but
he may be the next governor of California now.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm running out of time. I got to run. Dean, thank you so much.
Your pleasure.
Appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow. Dean probably with me. AM 560 KBLU.
Why are cornucopia is part of the Thanksgiving tradition? More in a moment.
Ed Whitehead's Tire Pros has been serving Arizona